Thursday, the 25th of November, 2012. We were supposed to have Lenon on the show this evening, but we can't seem to get hold of him. So we're just going to have to freestyle it for the evening, you get me?
As you do.
As we do, yeah, as we do.
Yeah, we've always got a backup plan.
Yeah, what is the backup plan?
That is the question.
Good question. Yeah, man, we'll just flow with it anyway, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No danger. What, Lenon Honor was going to talk about transhumanism.
Okay, what's that?
Transhumanism, the merge of technology with humans. He did a documentary, called The Borg Agenda a couple of years ago. I think it was something like 88 parts or something.
Wow.
It was over 10 hours long anyway, that's for sure. When Lenon Honor goes in, he goes in, doesn't he? No doubt. He's done other documentaries such as The Workings of Evil, In Plain Sight. He also did a documentary on the early workings of Disney and the paedophilic institute within Disney.
Did he do that video on Rihanna?
Yeah, he also did Rain Man, Umbrella. Yeah, and he broke down the metaphysics behind the term. Yeah.
I watched that when I was should we say like conspiracy theorist sort of time.
Okay.
And I was sort of like,
what's a conspiracy theorist?
Exactly, we need to decipher that word, but we'll decipher that just now. But when I was going through a bit of a phase, well, not even a phase, I'm still going through it, but I was sort of watching videos like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, when people going on about the Illuminati and Freemasons.
Who? Who are they?
Especially like the youngsters. So yeah, that's a video I watched and everything. Yeah. Deep video.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it is.
He's done some research to be able to go that deep into the analysis of of a music video. Because when we just watch a video, we just take it as at face value, and we just think, oh yeah, it's just Rihanna dancing like a whore, nothing less, nothing more, nothing less. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, talking about truths, isn't it, and where we get our truths from. Yeah. And not being able to decipher the truth or what's been given to us in plain sight is a talent in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, and I suppose you have to have your all your wits about you and that third eye opening.
Yeah.
Also to be able to, know. I mean, not just the inside truth, but the outside truth as well. Because a lot in the conscious community talk about there's truth within and love and light and so forth. But we have to look at the darkness which is in the world and also the darkness which lies within us all as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Which we miss out on a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we all definitely have dark in us. Obviously, don't focus on that dark in us, but acknowledge that we do have that in order for us to step into the light. Because I mean, if it's light all the time, it's just gonna be light. You're not gonna. It's not reality really. Well, what is reality? But.
Yeah. And as Seven said last week on the show,
we
can't go in the hood and be all airy fairy and light and love and light. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna work. You know, when they look at you, gone out. So. With that darkness which we have in us, we can take that into the hood and, use it to help others as well.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah. That's something to think about, really. Yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy week, though. Not a crazy week, but it's been, for the past few days, I've been feeling just...
odd.
Yeah.
Don't you feel at all? Anyway. Yeah, there is a strange feeling around, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
I know that Mercury's in retrograde. We talked about a couple of weeks on the show.
Oh yeah, I remember
that may be having an effect. But also, we've just gone through a new moon phase.
Okay.
And heading into the full moon in a few days' time. But it's odd because I think the full moon is on the Is it the 30th?
The moon is huge out there, though. I've seen it.
It might be a supermoon. You never know.
Who is it? We were talking about it the other day, and like we were talking about premenstrual tension.
Yeah.
And then one of our friends was just like, "I don't get premenstrual tension. I get pre-moon tension."
It's
so
true.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Pre-moon tension, PMT.
I definitely get that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, the next full moon is Wednesday, apparently. So that's 3 days away. Wednesday the 28th.
Okay. So anyway,
but the feelings are strong though.
They are really strong.
I never usually get the feelings as strong as this. So far away from the full moon, it's usually a day or two.
Yeah.
And this time it's been like 3 or 4 days before. Well, this since Thursday, so I guess nearly a week.
Okay. Wow.
6 days before the full moon, and I'm feeling this tension and apprehension and anxiety, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? But one good way to get rid of it is do a lot of grounding work, a lot of meditation. And this is the time to go within anyway, as Mercury's in retrograde, is the time to go within and to meditate. I mean, all times is really. I mean, I mean, we need to learn to just to be still.
Yeah.
And to know that God is within, or the divine is within, that indwelling intelligence. We need to learn how to do that. You know, we live in a society today which doesn't promote that sort of.
We live in a society that's
lifestyle and being.
We sort of, I mean, we can talk about what type of society that we're living in today via observation.
And we're living in a society full of robots.
Yeah, transhumanism. If that's what transhumanism is about, then I suppose so. Because I find myself doing it, you know, on my Android phone.
Android, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Android robots.
Chilling on my Android phone, looking at face crack, finding out about current affairs, which shouldn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, but in a way, it's good because it reminds me of like how I shouldn't be.
Okay, but you're still being that way by looking.
No.
Okay.
No, as in like certain ways. I mean, I told you the story today.
Oh yeah.
There's
you go while I look for Lenon online.
Yeah.
You tell the story, please.
Okay,
I'll leave this one to you.
Okay, apparently I was at work. Was it yesterday? I was at work and one of the girls at work, she came in. She's like, "Oh, did you hear? And I was like, "No, I didn't hear." And she's like, "Oh, it's trending all over Twitter. It's about Leicester and the hashtag was DMU." And then she was just like, "It's even got to London." I was like, "What is it?" And apparently there's a club in Leicester called Thread. And a girl got really drunk and she took a dump against the wall in the club.
What does dump mean?
Oh, well, she took a shit, basically.
Nice.
She shat against the wall. I've seen the picture. I haven't seen the girl, and I don't really want to like name and shame. I don't know her name or anything.
So you can't name and shame her?
No, not really.
Would you name them and shame them if you knew her name?
No, I'm not like that. I wouldn't do it on air anyway. But yeah, there's like a long turd against the wall of this club, and it was by a human.
No shit.
Yes, shit. Yeah. Well, it just sort of made me think, like, is this what society is really retarded down to?
Yep. Unfortunately.
Get me out of here.
Yeah. What are we going to do about it?
We laugh and we can laugh and joke about this thing, but this thing is serious, man. If people think that this is normal behaviour to take a shit against the wall in a club whilst you're drunk...
Well, I mean, she didn't realise she was doing it, I guess.
But, I don't really know the story behind it.
But the fact that she got to that point where she's not realising what she's doing...
That's
raises a lot of concerns and questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people, not just... young girls and boys who are of school and university and college age, but older people as well are setting that bad example.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every Friday, Saturday night, you'll see a whole heap of them just, getting rat-arsed, as they say. And they look forward to getting rat-arsed on a Friday and Saturday.
To not remember it the next day.
The amount of Facebook threads you see saying, "Oh, can't wait for Saturday, can't wait for Friday. We're gonna get the drinks in, and we're just gonna get rat-arsed."
It just confirms the fact that we are definitely living in a system of slavery where the only thing that we have to look forward to is the weekend to get rat-arsed. Really, if you think about it. I mean, some clients were talking to me the other day and they were like, oh yeah, Christmas is coming up, and I was just like, I don't celebrate Christmas. And they were like, oh, and I was just like, I celebrate every day and I give thanks for every day. And I'm like, at the end of the day, and then by thinking like that, I don't have to stress about getting presents and slaving away all year to get these expensive presents if I have that mentality, because to celebrate and give thanks every day is free.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It comes for free. And then one of the ladies like, oh, maybe I should start thinking like that. It's free, it's cheap. And I was just like, well, yeah. And then she talked to her son and he was just like, nah, that ain't happening, Mum. Because he wants his iPad or whatever. But, nah, give thanks for every day. I mean, don't be happy all the time. You can't be love and light all the time, as we said. It'd be great to. But, you know. Don't try and free yourself from the slavery.
Exactly. Well, Lennon's not with us at the moment. We're going to go to a quick music break, and then...
yeah, we like those.
Yeah, we like those, don't we?
Yeah.
So, let's play some music.
Classic case of good versus evil. Songs too dirty to say I'm in a cathedral. As legal as it sounds, and we really all equal. Our art son made to chase people away from the feelings that they sell like love. Oh well, would turn earth to hell. What person deserves jail when we all serve something? Funny how corruption is the prevalent discussion when you flipping through the channel. I'm bumping them sounds that drown out your innocence. Found out ignorance is bliss, now limited. I live in this juxtaposed daily. Suppose I was shady, just showing you how I felt about my lady. Crazy, turned up lazy, burnt up pages, thought, bought peace, caught breeze from my sheets, so I cheat as I sleep, and my dreams awake, walking off in space, looking for my own space, but no home is own, no matter how legal your tender is. Good versus evil shit. Yeah, good verse, hold up. Modern tell evil turn good, though they throw stones at pastors from the hood, but should they? If every man sins, how could they? Easily, especially when life ain't all peaches be. Cream dreams of living it all leisurely, trying to make words break bones when I speak the beats. Teach the weak about the sheep in the wolf suit. Got love for shy, but I'm trying to shoot more proof. Shoot for the bullseye, while I pull truth close to me, right next to love where it's supposed to be. Hell you. Eu sou, mas que eu sou, mas que eu
Robots running the world, yo, watch. Your watch has been replaced by a phone. Stop denying that you're not. Relying on robots and computer chips. Take them away. Peep the cluelessness. Jobs eliminated at plants and such. They got a newer shift of employees who don't bitch. They're programmed and don't trip. Don't need a check, just an upgrade. No healthcare, a quick virus scan will do when they update. Cables and wires replacing tables and chairs in offices. So when you call, there's no personal care. Just an automated voice. But when you talk, it can hear and then respond robotically as if a person was there. It's weird. Gears and cranks replaced by server space soon. Robots will make food at your favorite burger place without messing up your order. I got a question. Are you robotic enough for your employer? Robots. Every place that I look, I'm seeing robots. They're replacing the human beings. Robots. Don't have a face, just an HD screening. Robots. Don't know the taste of a bit of feeling. Robots. You can find them under any ceiling. Robots. There's a ton the government's concealing. Robots. Man-made, but making man mad. Maybe the biggest mistake that man had. Robots running the world, yo, watch. Circuit boards stay at work non-stop. No overtime pay, no salary, bro. So clocks at the job stay running. You're not a necessity to your boss unless he needs you to make a decision. Otherwise, fall in line with the rest of these workers on the assembly line that are unaware that the boss is assembling lies. He's planning on laying off everyone the minute he finds a machine that can do their job in minimal time. Similar to Johnny number 5 or Optimus Prime. Rosie from the Jetsons is stopping your shine. The unemployment rate skyrockets. Do we hate fundage? The governor is just a T-800 programmed to make cake, does it? Make you uncomfortable talking to machines, touching these screens? What you think, cousin? Robots. Every place that I look, I'm seeing robots. They're replacing the human beings. Robots. Don't have a face, just an HD screening. Robots. Don't know the taste of a bit of feeling. Robots. You can find them under any ceiling. Robots. There's a ton the government's concealing. Robots. Man-made, but making man mad. Maybe the biggest mistake that man had. Robots.
Came out last week. It's got 8 million terabytes on a hard drive.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen.
Hotep.
Hotep.
Hetepu?
Hotep means peace.
Yep, in ancient Kemetan. But anyway, me and Norman were talking.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Me and Norman were talking. We can't seem to get through to Lenon, but me and Norman can chat because, you know, we've got a lot of information stored in our heads.
We write articles, we write in a book at the moment as
Norman
well.
writing a book.
I can read a bit from it as well because we're going to talk about the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
And conspiracy theories. And,
well, I was actually reading an article online today, and apparently there were 33 conspiracy theories which turned out to be true.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll get that article up there and we'll talk about them.
I've got it in my book as well. I've put a lot of them in there. Yeah.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. We talked about this ages ago. Yeah, we did about the.
I need to take my spirulina.
Yeah,
I mean?
the 33 conspiracy theories which turned out to be right, and a lot of them were like a lot of MK Ultra, MK Monarch, things in there. Yeah.
I need to take my spirulina.
Yeah.
But
there's so much that we've spoke about over the past year or so, and it's hard to remember everything though.
No,
you
definitely.
know.
So basically, how long have you been writing this book for?
Are you going to ask me questions about my book?
Yeah.
No. I'm just going to read a couple of bits from it, and then we can go into the conspiracy theory side of it. But okay, what I've wrote on it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just
Okay.
I'm just for the viewers so that they know that you're actually writing a book.
Okay.
So, what inspired you to write this book?
Life.
Okay.
Life, I guess.
Life.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go on now? It looks like you don't want me to interview you like I suggested, but I went against anyway.
Okay. This is a bit I wrote in the book, innit?
Okay.
And this will probably give it to you in a nutshell, innit? What inspired me to write the book. We have stopped looking for the answers to the great mysteries of our existence, and instead we choose to focus on what we could do in the meantime and escape from our true reality. No one can tell us what reality is. That is something we must find out for ourselves. We have put down the book, neglected the soul and picked up the card. We've replaced natural selection with status and survival and wealth and materialism.
Brilliant. So that's what's inspired you.
Yeah, basically. the fact that we've become so materialistic that we've forgotten about who we are at the essential level.
Yeah.
And who we are at the essential level is what will transform us and help us ascend to the next level of human evolution.
Okay.
People talk about evolution in terms of transhumanism.
Okay.
Of merging technology with human beings, but they've got it totally wrong. Do you know what I mean?
No. I mean, it kind of goes against the laws of nature.
Yeah.
Entirely. If you want to become a robot and, have a chip in your ass.
Just don't get drunk, innit? Well, do get drunk and go to Thread.
And shit on the club floor.
Shit out the chip.
Oh dear. Okay, right. Anyway, don't be so mean. I mean, like half of me thinks, oh, bless her soul, and then another part of me just thinks, why? No. But anyway.
No, because she's young. She's
she's grown enough to realise that having a shit on a club floor.
But she was drunk.
Well, then she shouldn't drink so much.
Bottom line, of course, she shouldn't drink so much. Pardon the pun.
Anyway, let's stop talking about feces because it's just making me feel sick.
It's not our fault. She went out. She got drunk. You know what I mean? You're out of control. She got excited and she just let it out. And there it was on the floor of the nightclub.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what? It's not our fault.
I know. But
shit happens.
You know what? Anyway, let's talk. We're talking about real feces. Let's talk about the feces that we don't recognise as feces.
Okay.
And the shit around us that we're in.
Okay.
Because we really are in some shit. We really are, and we these things need to be discussed. I mean, go figure. Council of Foreign Relations. Should we begin on that topic?
Well, we can go first into that's online. We can go first into conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
What are conspiracy theories?
Okay.
Yeah. Shall we go on that?
Yes.
We talked about the conspiracy theories which have turned out to be true. Now, believing that conspiracy is a load of baloney is one of the major reasons why people face obstacles to the truth of the world in which we live in, and ultimately the truth of themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. And their connection with the higher self, God, soul, divine, whatever terminology you want to use for that. Not knowing what is going on will stop the individual from ever waking up to the realisation of this. The truth of what is being orchestrated behind closed doors for humanity, the elites plan for total control. Now, conspiracies are the means in which to start to get going into thinking for yourself. Just by turning away from the TV, immediately starts to transform the way you think. In fact, just by unlearning what this whole system has taught us, from education to media, government and religion.
Okay. So, conspiracy theorist.
Yes. You won.
The truth is a conspiracy, so...
Yeah, go ahead, be a conspirator. It's okay. Good. It's okay to be one,
I think that's the problem with today, though. People have stopped asking questions, and they just sort of blandly accept everything. Anything goes. Literally anything goes now. And it's a lot... I find there's a lot of contradiction in society today as well. But, I mean... We're all here together anyway. We need to figure this out all together.
There are definitions given about what a conspiracy is.
Okay.
But in the meantime, Lenon's around.
So you're going to chat to him?
I'm just going to chat to him. You continue, please.
Okay, so you just left me there.
Yeah, I'll leave you there. Just go and do your thing, girl.
Right, conspiracy. Right, so we've talked about the definition of a conspiracy theory. People like to call myself and my friends and other people that I know conspiracy theorists, but as we are going to talk about probably later on, we can prove that a lot of the conspiracy theorists have actually come true. But actually, yeah, the other day, I mean, there's a lot of things right now happening in Israel, well, in Gaza. I mean, Israelis are attacking the people of Gaza, and I hear a lot of people like talking about, oh yeah, like people who are pro-Palestinian will be like bun the Jews, and people who are like pro-Israeli will be like bun the Arabs sort of thing. And I just think, and then a lot of people think that this war that's going on there is to do with religion but I don't think people actually look at the root causes of why this is all happening. People need to look into the governments and look where the money, follow the money, follow the dollar, look at what families they originate from.
So follow the money from the time that you spend that money.
Yes.
And where that money's going.
Yes.
Where it's ending up.
Yes.
What it's buying.
Yes. And why they're doing it. Why is this all happening? And then when people I speak to people, and I said sometimes I feel like you can't connect or you can't really get through to people. Sometimes the best way to get through to a person is through art.
Yeah.
So I wrote a poem. I mean, I don't feel like the poem gave enough information, but it sort of helped people to maybe like put into their mind that, you know what, yeah, this war, whatever's happening out there in other countries is not a war on religion, or what we're going through right now is a spiritual warfare, it's a psychological warfare, and it's just basically supremacy of some versus, you know, basically a bunch of people who want us all to feel inferior to them, and they want to create slaves out of us, and people call that a conspiracy, but you see it in everyday life. Just observe the streets and you will see it. So yeah, call me a conspiracy theorist. I just call myself an analytical observer.
Well, okay. So what is a conspiracy? By the way, Lenon Anna will be joining us in the next 10-15 minutes.
Oh, brilliant.
We're pleased to say.
Okay.
Yes. He got the times wrong.
Well,
he's in San Diego, California.
That's what happens when you are in America.
Some 8 hours difference, you know.
Okay.
He's probably just got up. He has got a big family as well, so, you know.
Yeah.
Just excuse him. Yeah, but anyway, so what is a conspiracy? It is a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful.
Which is what's happening today.
Yeah, and there are some other definitions provided by Webster's online dictionary, which are: number 1, an agreement to perform together an illegal, wrongful, or subversive act. Number 2, Number 2, a group of conspirators. 3, in law, an agreement between 2 or more persons to commit a crime or accomplish a legal purpose through illegal action.
US federal government.
Number 4, a joining or acting together as if by sinister design.
Israel.
Yes, well, that's the whole lot, isn't it? That's the whole lot.
Basically,
with all this transhumanism business, you know what I mean? They want us to merge with technology, don't they? And
definitely.
You know, that's what they're conspiring to do, and to chip us, to make us even more of a slave than we already are.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny you talk about technology, because out here in Leicester, where me and you reside, the place where they build the drones is just on Scudamore Road.
Right. Yeah, it's not far actually.
Where they make the weapons to drone other countries. So
yeah.
It's right here in Leicester.
Yeah, and there's talk of a new drone. Yeah, that's what it was actually. I read they're going to by 2025 we'll be having drones as police cars.
Wow.
What's that film? In fact, we watched that film the other day. We talked about it with Seven as well. THX 1138.
Oh yeah.
Where the robots were the police.
Wow.
And I think that's where we're heading to, probably even in the next 50 to 100 years, maybe even sooner than that.
Maybe, you know? Hopefully I won't be around for then.
Okay. But our children's children
exactly.
will.
No, this is why we do what we do, because we've got people, you know, like there's that like we say that saying, isn't it? We didn't inherit this world from our ancestors. We've borrowed it from our children. So we need to do what it takes to basically make it more harmonious for our children.
That's right.
Our children's children.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so on. I mean, if we don't see it in our lifetime, hopefully our children will. And if they don't see it in their lifetime, hopefully their children will. And so on and so forth. But the fact is that we should still try and not just blindly accept this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's right.
So, are we gonna?
I'm gonna try. I'm trying now. I think I'm gonna try and get him on. First, let me introduce you to who Lenon Honor is. He's an author and musician and a counsellor. He plays I think it's the flute that he plays, and he plays it really well. It's very nice.
Okay.
He might be able to even give you a rendition of it, maybe. Who knows? But as I said, he's wrote numerous. He's wrote books. He's created and produced a few documentaries, The Workings of Evil.
Yeah. That Rihanna documentary.
Yeah. Do you know what it's called?
I think it's Hip Hop and the Occult.
Okay.
Occult, something like that.
The Workings of Evil. It's called.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Okay, my bad.
Yes. What Lies in Plain Sight.
Okay.
I think that was one of his first ones, actually. It's a fantastic documentary, absolutely. The Workings of Evil Revisited. He did a Demons in the Outfield. Mm-hmm. He did a Demons in the Outfield Revisited. The early works of Walt Disney, which we mentioned earlier, the foundation of Paedophilic Institution. And I think that may be something we could discuss tonight with our good friend Lenon.
I mean, like, given like we just went to a conference on Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah.
About sexual exploitation and paedophilia and child abuse. So and it's all connected, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. The Borg Agenda, which was one of his masterpieces.
Yes.
It was an expansive, and it addresses many topics, including subliminal messaging in the movie industry and in general media, symbolism, transhumanism, as we said earlier, the occult, human consciousness, DNA, spirituality, mind control and technological dependency, race-based mind control programming, and much, much more.
This guy goes in.
He does go in.
All
he does
right.
go in.
Okay,
So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to chatting to
Most definitely.
Lenon Honor.
Lenon Honor, yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to get him on right now.
let's
Lenon,
call
let's do this.
We're calling you.
Honor, yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to get him on right now.
Oh.
So a little bit of feedback there.
We can hear ourselves. I think, Lenon, you might have to switch us off on the radio.
So a little bit of feedback there.
Hear ourselves.
Oh dear. We can hear ourselves. Greetings, Lenon. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. We're getting a lot of feedback there.
Lenon, you might have to switch the radio off.
Fantastic. We're getting a lot of feedback there.
Lenon,
I can hear myself.
Radio off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. We was hearing ourselves double time then. You know what I mean? It sounded a bit odd.
I'm actually still hearing it. So let me... Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. It's still coming. It was double time then. You know what I mean? It sounded a bit odd.
Yeah, I'm still hearing it double time. So let me... Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Okay. It was double time then. Lenon? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, what's going on? Lenon, I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to put it down, and we'll try again, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
That is so embarrassing, you know, when you just hear yourself like 3 times.
What was going on there?
I don't know. But I think, Lenon, if you're listening, turn off the radio now so that we can call you.
It might not be from his end, though.
Yeah, it might be our end. Who knows?
Okay, we'll try
Transhumanism.
We'll try again. The Borg Agenda. Fantastic.
Hello?
Hi, Lenon.
Oh, it sounds great now.
Yeah,
oh, brilliant.
It was not a good look hearing ourselves again. I don't like hearing my voice.
A whole lot going on, but it sounds great now.
Yeah, man, no doubt.
Anyway.
Right, thank you for joining us. Even though you're like 50 minutes late, come on, have you just got up?
No, my apologies. I think this is the first time that I've been late to a radio interview in almost 6 years. So I apologize. I got the time mixed up. No disrespect intended, and I sincerely hope that I can make up for it by having a wonderful discussion with the both of you.
I'm sure you will.
But you know what, Lenon? Don't worry, because you know what? Our timing's never that great either. So maybe it's because it was our show.
Yeah.
You know, we're not the.
We deserved it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't feel as bad. Thank you.
Okay. All right then, Lenon. So how are you doing today, anyway?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. My wife and I were doing wonderful, and our wonderful 5 children, they're doing great, and we're having a wonderful day. And I'm thankful to be able to sit for a while with y'all and talk.
Oh, thank you. You have a beautiful family there.
Yeah.
Most
Wow.
definitely.
Five
Most definitely.
children.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
We need to be fruitful and multiply. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Especially with what's to come. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? What's to come?
Or what's coming? Or what's actually happening?
Yes.
It's good to have you with us, Lenon. Say hello to all the cousins over there in America for us.
Yes,
from
I
your
sure
cousins
will.
over here across the water.
Yes.
Yes, I sure will.
Sorry.
Anyway, Lenon, so today I think we were talking about transhumanism. So actually, do you know what, Lenon? Just give us give us and the viewers a little introduction to yourself. If you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm a father in the first place. Over the years, I've gotten into doing documentary work, and part of the reason why was because when I came into fatherhood, I realized, and even a little bit prior to that, I realized that there was a lot that was taking place on the planet that I really perceived to be detrimental to my future seed. And once I had my first son, that's when I really was like, wait a minute, you start to look into things, you start to research, you read, you look at different documentary work, and the more and more information you accumulate, you listen to certain radio shows, you realize that something's not quite right. That there are things that are taking place on the planet that are very manipulative and are impacting the quality of life on the planet. And one of the things I began to do was I began to think critically about the world around me, especially as it relates to media. And one of the things that took place, and I always like to tell this story, and I use Disney as an example. I remember going to the library and I picked up a film called Angels in the Outfield. And my oldest son, I think at the time he was about maybe 2 years old. He might have been 3. My youngest son was about 1, maybe almost 2. And we didn't watch broadcast television at the time, but we would get movies from the library every once in a while, and we would screen them. My wife and I would screen them. We always screen stuff before we let our children view it. And we watched that film, and maybe about 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, we said, what? We were like, wait a minute. There's a lot going on here on a subliminal level, on a subconscious level that is quite disturbing, and it was all tied to pedophilia, the sexualization of children.
That's right. Yeah.
And as a father, as a human being, I have a problem with that, of course. But as a father, a new father, and recognizing one of my primary responsibilities is to keep my children safe. That means physically, mentally, spiritually. I was really taken back by that. So I remember we stopped watching it, and I didn't even want the DVD in the house. I actually put it in the car, and I put it in the trunk, and I said, I'm taking it back to the library tomorrow. And I told my wife, I said, one day I want to start to do analysis of videos and movies, meaning music videos, movies, etc. Because I think that there's a lot here that needs to be exposed so that parents can have the information that they need so they can protect their children.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until maybe about a year later that there was my wife, I was taking a shower. My wife came into the bathroom and she was like, you need to come see this video. And I said, what is it? And she said, it's a video that's on the internet right now. I said, I'm not interested in that. And she kept telling me about it. After I got the shower, she kept telling me about it. And I went and I looked at it, and it was the video by Rihanna called Umbrella.
Okay.
And it was very occultic. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I was like, I should really start doing analysis about this type of stuff. I have a critical mind. I like to think critically. But I didn't start with that. What I with was a music video by Michael Jackson called Beat It. And I had read in a book a couple of years prior by David Icke. It gave reference to someone named Dr. Wilson Bryan Keys. And Dr. Wilson Bryan Keys, he was deep into the subconscious mind, subliminal messages, etc. And Dr. Wilson Bryan Keys, he promoted an idea. It was more of a theory because he didn't back it up, but it was theoretical, and that was that Michael Jackson's "Beat It," the song and the video was actually a reference to group homosexual male masturbation. And when I read that, I was like, this is absolutely insane. This guy must really be crazy, because I remember watching that video when I was a child, doing the dances, singing the songs. They have me a good time. But when we talk about having a critical mind, and especially if you're seeking to protect your children's consciousness, what better thing is there anything greater that we should protect our children from than pedophilic ideas, right? The sexualization of children. I went and I looked at the video, and I looked at it over and over again, and I said, wait a minute, I was blown away. I said, this individual, Dr. Wilson Bryan Keys, he was spot on. And I began to do the analysis. The more and more I looked into it, and more and more I researched the topic, I realized that not only in Michael Jackson's Beat It, but also in the entertainment industry, this is a central theme: pedophilia, the sexualization of children. And that's when I set out to start to do documentary work going back years ago. And since that time, I've produced many documentaries just exposing the various degrees of manipulation, the psychosexual manipulation, manipulation in terms of male-female relationships, how we view each other, manipulation in terms of the sexualization of technology so that people begin to buy into transhumanism, which is an aspect of eugenics. I mean, there's so many different levels to this. And the more and more I research, more and more I produced, and after a time, I put together a full catalog of documentary work. I went on to do radio shows. I have my own radio show, radio interviews, and it's grown, written books, etc. And that's been my journey, but it all goes back to as a father who cared for his children, wanting to make sure that I knew the information that I needed in order to protect them, and then having a commitment to the rest of humanity to say, look, I'm going to put this information out there so that hopefully there'll be other parents who see this so they can protect their children from these levels of manipulation.
That's right. Yeah. So what we find, Lenon, because we actually run a campaign against the sexualization of children and the objectification of women in the media. And what we've found on this journey, especially in the last year or so since we've really put it out there to the public, is that we don't get a lot of support, especially from women who have children. And that's quite odd.
Yeah. But
well, when you say you don't get support from women who have children, to what capacity do you mean? Are these single mothers, or are these mothers who are in committed relationships?
Well, it's just in general, like parents, especially like obviously we reach mothers a lot more than we do fathers. Mm-hmm. We try and reach out to both, but they sort of like don't want to accept that this is what's happening in the media, in the mainstream media, and this is what your children are watching, and this is what is contributing to basically the sexualization of society.
And the dumbing down of society.
And the dumbing down of society. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I just find it, like, when I see parents who do feel inspired to protect their children from this evil that we see in society, it really does inspire me. Mm-hmm. And I think, but unfortunately we haven't really come across many parents like that on our journey.
Well, that's interesting, because I've come, and it may be because I've been doing this type of work for quite some time now, and for whatever reason, my documentary works, they've gone viral. So I think that may have something to do with it. And the reason I'm saying is because I have had a lot of people over the years who have expressed sincere concern in terms of the degrees of manipulation. I will say this, though, however, that sometimes, when as parents, it's more difficult, especially if we've already gone through the process of allowing our children to be indoctrinated into accepting certain ideas through media. And so then when the information finally comes, and it may be, later on down the line, it's more difficult to embrace the information, because then we have to look at ourselves critically, and then we have to admit to the fact that we actually participate in the manipulation of our children's consciousness by allowing our children to participate in it. And that, as a parent, that can be very difficult.
Yes.
I think that's necessarily an issue for a woman or for a man. I think that has more to do with, as a parent, realizing that there were things that we could have done different that would have benefited ourselves, and it was right there, and it was just a choice. My wife and I, we have those same issues. When we first had children, we were not at the level of consciousness that we are now. I know that we're doing a lot better job now. There are times where I almost come to tears because I reflect back on some of the decisions that we've made with our children, or maybe I yelled at them, or maybe I got upset, or maybe I and I look at it now, now my oldest son, he's 8, and I realize that I'm a much better father now. And sometimes I wish I can go back and kind of redo that, but that's not how life works. And I think as parents, we have to be courageous. We also have to be willing to admit to our lack of understanding about certain things. Yeah. And the idea is that if we now have an opportunity to impact the planet in a positive way by embracing certain levels of information and transmitting that to our children, maybe sharing it with someone else who's a new parent, then we should embrace that. And we shouldn't have any kind of level of what's the word? Because it's a guilt thing. A lot of folk, we feel guilty because we feel like we didn't do the best that we could. Well, it's not about whether or not we could have done the best that we could. It's about, can we do better now, and can we help others to do better? And that's what it's all about in my mind.
Definitely.
That's right. Because it's very concerning that young girls are portraying certain images which they get from the likes of Rihanna and Nicki Minaj and so forth. And there was a very interesting quote coming from Burning Angels, Joanna Angel from burningangel.com. She's obviously a porn director, and she said that the girls these days just seem to come to the set porn ready. Now that's quite that's quite a statement from someone who is already in the business and wanting to train up girls to become porn stars. She doesn't have to do much training now; they just come porn ready.
Yes, and that is a sad testimony there. I have 2 young daughters. Of course, they're very young, but porn is one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest forms of abuse that is taking place on the planet right now. And there's so many different levels of abuse that are taking place, but porn in and of itself, it is the physical violation of a woman in most cases, a physical violation of women placed within the scope of entertainment. And this is, when we talk about the spiritual evolution of the species, I will propose that one of the primary programs that is impacting the spiritual progressions of the species is pornography itself. And nowadays, you know, I'm not surprised by that statement, by that testimony, because the degree of pornographic imagery has been funneled into mainstream media for decades now. I mean, if we went back, you know, long enough, you realize, like, a lot of the stuff that, like, for instance, when I grew up, there's stuff that was coming on that, you know, my mother, if she had seen it when she was, they would have considered that to be porn. But now on television, when I was growing up, it was basically pornographic depictions, but it was basically something that was accessible to anyone at any given time. And so as the years have progressed, I'm 37 now, what we find is that in terms of media, it's become more and more sexualized, it become more and more pornographic. Now what children are watching now, I would have considered it to be porn when I was coming up, based upon the type of pornographic, not even DVDs back then, but they had pornographic VHS tapes, and sometimes on HBO and certain things, you know. That kind of stuff now is what they show for young children now. You can just look at inside the entertainment industry, inside the music industry, and music videos, etc. But also on regular television, there's a lot of pornographic sexualization of children, etc. You have a lot of the children inside of these television shows, they're put into sexual situations at a very early age. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And then you have the social structure on top of that. You got the public education system, which is a cesspool in terms of perversion, sexual perversion. And so children are being exposed to certain things. And you got other dynamics too, where you have child molestation taking place in the home. These are all the protocols, if you will, to having a young girl begin to embrace a pornographic depiction, and then therefore she is porn ready. You know, the girl does not have to come in and she has to be, you know, taught what to do or how to stand, how to sit, it's not even necessary, because the whole culture itself has become so sexually deviant that now the young girls, they've been programmed this way. They've basically been programmed, and they've received the programming since birth in many cases, as soon as you start watching television. As a matter of fact, it's not just in movies, it's not just in music videos, it's in cartoons now.
Yeah.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's no surprise to me that someone who was in the porn industry, who was a director, they would make a statement like that, because now you have pornographic imagery, I should say, inside cartoons. As a matter of fact, the pornographic imagery and what I call pedophilia, some people call pederasty, this actually has been taking place since television began. And we can go all the way back to the 1920s with Disney. In his initial series, the initial series that he made was called the Alice series. And this is one that I break down in the early works of Walt Disney, The Foundations of a Pedophilic Institution. It was all about pedophilia. It was about the sexualization of this little girl, and she's you know, put inside these compromising positions where she's alone and she's dealing with older men and all these different, and she's dressed, she has makeup on. This is a sexualization of this little girl. Well, see, the difference nowadays is that back then it was more esoteric. Now it's right out there in people's faces. That's right. And so young girls, they receive this, and then without the guidance, if you will, of aware parents to say, look, I want you to understand that this is programmed. I want you to understand the significance of this, the psychosexual mind control programming that's taking place here. Without the protection of a father that would say, hey, look, you will not be watching that. you will not be watching that. And understand that if you have friends who are talking about that, you have to be clear in terms of where they're coming from. That's psychosexual mind control programming. My daughter, you got to be clear about that you don't embrace that. See, these are the things that need, in the absence of that, young girls will be set on course to participate not just in porn movies, but also in society in general, to participate in levels of sexual deviancy, not coming from a place of love or true connection that can take place within a male-female relationship, but rather coming from a pornographic depiction that they was exposed through media. And so that's why it's a sad commentary. It's a sad truth, I would say, in terms of the porn director, what she said, but I can definitely see how that would apply nowadays.
It's such a shame that all these young girls are being geared to accepting such not just the behavior but the images and wanting to look like the images what they see on the TV screens with the likes of Rihanna and Nicki Minaj. I mean, you see it when you just walk down the street, when you're walking in the city centre and town centres, that they're just there. Even on a night time, you see young 13, 14-year-old girls in high heels, short skirts with what little things they've got at top sticking out. You get me? It's a real concern, and it beggars belief that parents are allowing their children to come out like that.
Yeah, and see, that's the key word, parents. It's not the issue with the child. That's just the symptom of a deeper issue. The issue is the parent and the lack of protection and guidance for the child. You see, that's what the real issue is. It's to say that my wife and I, we will assure, and I can make the statement now, and I'm not a fortune teller by any stretch of imagination, but I can make the assertion now that my daughters will not grow up in that way. But see, in the process, over the next 10, 15 years, my wife and I were very clear that we will make sure that they are not exposed to the programming. See, that's all mind control programming. There's no one who comes onto the planet and is born, comes out their mother's womb and decides, you know what, I'm going to dress like Nicki Minaj.
You
see what I'm saying? I'm going to dress like Britney Spears. I'm going to dress like Christina Aguilera. Interesting enough, all these Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, there's another one, I can't remember her name right now. They all come through Disney.
That's right, yeah. Miley Cyrus,
yes. They all come through Disney. And their lives have all come into turmoil over the years. And what they project is what some have termed as the horror archetype. Well, this is not by accident. And parents have to ask the critical question. See, a lot of young girls, they're introduced into this, what we can call a horror archetype through the Disney princess concept. See, it is an indoctrination procedure. It's just not, one image that is presented. It is basically embedded at a very early age. And then what happens is that image is thoroughly sexualized over time. And this is precisely what happened with Britney Spears. If you guys go back and look at it, Christina Aguilera, the same thing. Their initial image and archetype was the Disney princess kind of thing. Oh, she's just a cute little girl. But then over time, what they do is they begin to transform and transmogrify that, and they sexualize it step by step by step. And they do it over and over again because they've been doing this in the entertainment industry. Most artists go through this, and I outline this. They do this even inside television shows. Even in Star Trek, they do the same dynamic with the character 7 of 9.
That's right.
And see, what happens is the young girl identifies. This is an aspect of human psychology. They identify with the initial character, so the Disney princess archetype. That's why a little girl, I want to be Disney princess. They identify. In other words, they project their identity onto that particular individual who epitomizes the Disney princess. So now, as in terms of manipulating human psychology and in terms of social engineering, what takes place is Disney as an institution begins to slowly but surely transform that archetype. And because the individual on the outside looking in, the young girl, has already identified with that initial archetype, she will begin to slowly but surely be drawn to accept this transformation as well.
That's right.
And so then by the time they're 13, 14, now they look like Britney Spears.
That's right.
That's precisely what like I said. And so, you see what I'm saying here? Yeah. So it's not just one person. It is an indoctrination procedure that takes place, in some cases, over decades. And that's why we have parents that, for decades, they're completely oblivious to this, and they allow their children to be exposed to it. And then, by the time the child is 13, the parent looks at the child and says, "Who is this? Whose baby?" Well, the reason why you don't know is because you didn't raise your child. Television raised your child.
That's right. That's right. And you've done another documentary as well, but I've not seen it yet. Hip Hop, The Hidden Hand, and the Degradation of Black Masculinity.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that one a bit more, please,
Yes.
Lenon?
I would say that probably was my most, oh my goodness, my most beloved and my most hated work to date.
Okay.
That was the most controversial one, I would say.
Right.
And part of the reason why is because whenever you deal with African American folk in the United States of America and music, you're going to have some serious resistance. Because a lot of folk in the quote unquote African American community, music has become their identity. You know, if nothing else, you know, I can give up everything. I give up my family. I give up my manhood and masculinity. I'll give up my home. But I have to have my music.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's a shame, and a lot of black folk here in the United States of America, they have a problem with dealing with that. And I'll tell you all right now, I'm a very honest person, and I tell folk, you know, how I see things, especially as it relates to what's taking place in the African American community. And hip hop, in terms of as a cultural aesthetic, what people would call a culture, it's not actually a culture. It is an aspect of culture. But one of the things, if you deify a musical genre, you will begin to perceive it as being a culture in and of itself. That's problematic in and of itself. But I took a critical analysis as to hip-hop and its origins and its beginnings and the degree of manipulation that has incurred over the decades and the manipulation of it over the decades by the entertainment industry. And what I found was that from the beginning, hip-hop as a tool of social engineering was being used, and it has had a profound impact on the quote-unquote African-American community, and I must say a detrimental impact on the African-American community. The thoughts and ideas, and the premise was that the music itself was not created by men, and that's a problem.
Okay.
The lyrical content itself was not created by men. That's a problem. The music and the lyrical content was created by boys who did not understand the foundation and fundamentals of manhood, masculinity, what it means to be a man in the context of a family institution. That's problematic because therefore the message, and if y'all go back and you do analysis of the beginning stages of hip hop and you actually look at the lyrical content and we're honest with ourselves, see, black folk have an issue with being honest because we bought to so many illusions over the decades that when we go back and look and we're honest about it, we realize that we were duped from the start. If we're honest enough, we realize that the lyrical content was nothing more than young male deviancy. It was the projection of a previous program that stemmed from black exploitation films. That's a problem. It wasn't anything new. It was basically, if you wanted to take the black exploitation films and turn them into a musical, well, that's what hip hop was. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't positive hip hop artists because I also addressed that inside the documentary series.
There's a lot of positive hip hop artists.
There's a lot of positive hip hop. What I'm saying is that from the beginning, its inception, it was not rooted in that which African American folk needed in order to progress forward. And what was it that we needed and we still need today? We need strong families. We need boys who are raised into men and who are functioning as vessels who are committed to male-female relationships and who are in service to women and who are in service to their children. This is not something that you will find in hip-hop, early hip-hop. You go and you look at the lyrical analysis, you don't get any references to manhood, being a responsible father, protecting your children. You do get references to, I'm looking good.
And hoes and bitches.
You know, she's a bitch, she's a whore. Look at my nice car, look at my nice shoes. You see, this is coming from boyhood, a boyhood orientation. That's problematic. So therefore, when we talk about social engineering, what better way to subjugate African-American males in particular? And if you're very clear about this, when you take a look, most African-American females were not into hip-hop. It was a primarily male-dominated institution, and how it was received was mainly by young males, many of which who did not have fathers in the home. It's an interesting thing because in many cases, hip-hop became young boys' fathers. That's why they don't want to look critically at their own father. That's how deep it gets. But it's an interesting dynamic. Most women, African-American girls, I should say, at the time, especially early hip-hop, or I'm talking about the earlier, when it first came onto the scene, they were not into it. And part of the reason why is because it was so misogynistic that it did not resonate with them.
Right. Are we talking like early 80s, late 70s here?
We're talking about the mid-70s. So what I do in the documentary, in the lecture series, is I go back to the beginning. So what people would classify as being the archetypal hip hop artists, you'll find that the same type of program. See, we have this this thing, African American folk. We have this problem, and part of it is that we have nostalgia for things. I'm serious. We have this thing about nostalgia, and even if we had a horrible experience, or even if in truth what we have nostalgia for was negative, we still shape it in a positive light. And it's always in retrospect. It's never, we never look at it critically in the moments when we accept it. We go, and then later on in life, we just have nostalgia instead of like really being critical about it. I'm very clear. Like my children will not be raised on foul music. We'll put on some Stevie Wonder. We'll put on some John Coltrane. We might put on some Miles Davis.
Okay.
You know, we might put on some Bach. You know, who knows? But it must be positive. See, and it's just like if we look at a parent who allowed their child to be indoctrinated into certain ideas through television, media, or Disney. Later on in life, when you present them with information, they're going to recoil. In other words, they're going to have a problem because then they're going to start to feel guilty, right? They're going to resist what you're telling them. Well, the same thing applies to hip hop. Even if you are into hip hop, part of what I'm saying here, it may not resonate with you, but if you're critical about the lyrical content and you go back and you do the analysis from the mid 70s on, and I went from the mid 70s up until about maybe the mid 80s. If you look at the lyrical content, and I'm talking about the hip hop that was globalized, it was globalized for a reason. It was because it was a mind control program to stagnate young males into boyhood.
Okay.
Go back and listen. And see, when you're a child, when you're a boy, you won't realize this. Just like when the young girl is a little girl and she's being indoctrinated into the Disney and it transfers over into a horror archetype, you don't realize that because you're in the midst of the mind control program.
That's true. That is true.
But once you come into manhood, see, this was the whole premise. It was about manhood and masculinity. But see, there were many African-American folk who made it about the music. But really, that was a psychological defense mechanism because, in many cases, it was males, because they didn't want to deal with the fact that they had not come into manhood themselves. And part of the reason why they didn't come into manhood by the time they were 30, 40, or 50, my goodness, was because they had experienced music that had retarded their progressions in the first place.
Yeah.
That's problematic. So my sons, they will not be listening to hip hop, and hip hop will not raise them. Hip hop will not be their father. You mean to tell me that a musical form is something that we deify? That is asinine. It is so problematic. So this work, it was my most controversial. I got death threats from people. I had people from the my wife too. My wife too received death threats. We had people in the entertainment industry, well-known people who took offense. And all I was saying was, look, did this music impact us in a negative way as young black males that stagnated our progressions into manhood? Why can't we look at that and be critical without getting emotional and wanting to fight and shoot people up? And see, I didn't even get into gangster rap. See, I was just talking about the initial stuff.
I was going to say, Lenon, I love hip hop, Lenon.
See, that's okay. See, but
like the positive stuff.
About Disney.
Yeah.
There are people who love Sex in the City. There are people, there are people who love Nicki Minaj.
I wouldn't go that far.
No. Well, look, brother, I'm saying that you have to be critical on that level too.
Yeah, true, very true.
You see what I'm saying? And don't do it as a fan. See, because fan stems from fanatic. A fanatic does not have clear intelligence as to what it is that they're a fan of. They're outside of it.
I'm being schooled, man.
You have to approach it as a man. See, you're a man today. Now, I'm telling you, brother, if you went back and you did a lyrical analysis, then you can take your most favorite hip-hop artists and your most favorite hip-hop songs going back to when you were a child.
African
Bambaataa. If you did analysis as a man, keyword, with your level of intellect today, and you did analysis of the lyrical content, and you ask yourself how much of this could progress a young boy, let's put it in context, can progress a young boy into manhood, you will find it will be less than 5%.
Okay. Wow.
And then the other 95% functions as a stagnation mechanism. That's problematic. You see, now the difference is in the United States of America, black folk embraced this musical style like it was Jesus Christ.
It was the savior.
It was their savior. See, black folk, we got it bad. We're always looking for a savior here in the United States of America. Yeah. And to a great degree, music has become that. So if anyone says anything about hip hop, people ready to fight. They're ready to shoot people up. They send your wife a death message.
Oh no.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is, and see, understand that behavior stems from the degree of programming that the music itself initialized. See, it's different from folk from the outside looking in from other countries. But for us black folk who lived here and saw the damage that this music did, I'm talking coming from an intellectual place, not from an emotionalism, not as a fan, but as a critical thinker. We have to put it in context here. There's a different orientation. So yes, it's okay to be a fan, but also be a man as you're a fan. And if you're a man, that means that you have to have a level of intellectual process, and you must look at the music critically and put it in context, because when we talk about the hidden hand, let me make this point. When we talk about the hidden hand, this is the entertainment industry and the controllers of the entertainment industry. They didn't have to embrace this music. They could have embraced any other musical form that was coming out of the African-American community. We have so many wonderful musical styles that come out of the African-American community. It's incredible. But they chose this one in particular because it had the most amount of influence in terms of social engineering to stagnate African-American people, to keep, and more specifically, to keep young boys in a state of boyhood, perpetual boyhood. That's why it was embraced, and that's why it was globalized. So when we put it in this context, it was a tool that was used for social engineering. And in essence, what we find is for those African, I'm talking about here in the United States of America, for the vast majority of young African-American males who embraced hip-hop, and they used it and they saw it as their Jesus Christ Savior, the vast majority of them either did not come into manhood, or still not into a level of manhood, or were stagnated to such a degree that they didn't come into manhood until the age of 30, 35, and in some cases 40. That's not by accident, ladies and gentlemen. That is by design. When I look at my sons, my objective is to have them come into manhood by the age of 18. Therefore, why would I, as a parent, allow them to listen to musical forms that is demeaning to women, that devalues manhood and masculinity, that stagnates our progressions into manhood, that trivializes male-female relationships, that is about bling bling, and how many women did I have sex with last night? Why would I allow my sons to be exposed to that degree of manipulation? I will not. And I most definitely will not allow my daughters to experience that either. Let's put this in context, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay to be a fan. But let's make sure that we are a man as we are a fan, and that we take a critical approach to what it is that we're a fan of.
Very true.
See, that particular lecture series was my most controversial and the one that I got the most backlash from.
I can imagine.
And we have to ask the critical question. I've dealt with pedophilia. I wasn't getting death threats from people. I've dealt with transhumanism. I wasn't getting death threats from people.
Wow.
I've dealt with the entertainment industry on many different levels. Michael Jackson, I wasn't. But as soon as I got with hip hop and started to do the critical analysis, that's when the death threats began to come. Wow. And we have to ask the critical question, what is the mentality of an individual who will see a need to send a death threat to me or to my wife because I am exposing the subliminal implications in the mind control programming in hip hop? Very key point there.
There's a strong emotional attachment, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a strong attachment, but see, the attachment is based upon programming. They've been programmed this way. See, it's a different dynamic. I have to make this point real quickly here, that for many folk from the outside looking in, it's a different orientation. So someone from, African-American or African folk in the diaspora, they may look and they may see hip-hop in a different light. I'm talking about someone who was raised around it and who saw how it impacted friends and family members. And see, I didn't even get into gangster rap. Because what gangster rap did, which I had hoped to get into, but the death threats and all that, the drama was too much. I said, there's no way I'm going to put myself and put my family through this. That's ridiculous. Got grown people, African-American folk, I'm trying to help and help their children and future generations sending me death threats. See, I didn't even get into gangster rap. Because part of what took place in the African-American community once gangster rap wasn't necessarily symptomatic of a culture of gangsterism that was present in mass in the United States of America. Because that was not the case. There was only a very small pocket of African-American folk who were operating within that scope of gangsterism, gangster land, the gangster mentality, and some of them were my relatives. And many of them were my friends, but it was only a small, but what happened was once hip-hop and the hidden hand took hip-hop and took it gangster, now it functioned to the same degree that it functioned to stagnate males into their progressions into manhood. But the difference was now we're going to now criminalize African-American males. We're going to program them to be criminals on a whole nother level. That now they're going to be busting drive-bys. And many of the artists who were used were not even gangsters in the first place. They were just actors playing a role of the gangster. They were studio gangsters even to this day. So what began to happen, see, I'm talking about someone who grew up in this. That's why I have such passion when I talk about this issue. I cannot tell you how many young brothers who were my friends, who succumbed to gang violence and died. And I know for a fact that how they were indoctrinated into that cultural aesthetic was by the music itself.
Yeah.
Understand this, ladies and gentlemen. See, it's easy from the outside looking in. When you don't have brothers dying, when you come to school and you, oh, did you hear about such and such? He got shot up by a drive-by. Yeah, you can be a fan from the outside looking in. But from a young, and see, it was so deep, brother. I remember my good friend and I, we went to go see one of these films. See, it's interesting because when this type of programming, this was not by accident. Going back to the early 70s, it was not by accident. This musical style was used for this purpose, to bring about death and destruction in the African American community, to bring about the destabilization, the further destabilization of the family institution by disrupting male-female relationships. This was by design from its inception. That's why the entertainment industry took it and ran with it in the first place. And during this time of gangsterism.
So was it another a trick from the CIA or the establishments to infiltrate the not just the black community but all communities by bringing hip hop to the streets?
Yes, absolutely. See, it's become globalized. It's been globalized for a reason. It's not functional. It's not benefiting. I mean, really think about it. If it doesn't deal with establishing positive family institution, it's dysfunctional. If it's not dealing with creating positive relationships between men and women, it's dysfunctional. If it's not giving you spiritual insight to where you love your brother, to where you love your sister, to where you protect your children, if it's not doing that, it's dysfunctional. Then if we look at hip hop, and be very clear, there's just a small fraction of it is positive and maybe dealing with these topics. Very small. But what has been globalized has been the most heinous aspects, and it's by design from the beginning. It's dysfunctional, and therefore, if you have that as a matrix of programming, what better way to subjugate the human population than propagandize hip-hop itself and globalize it? It's not by accident. I have to go back to this real quickly here, because the programming was so deep when hip-hop went gangster, and especially here on the West Coast, because it was a West Coast phenomenon for the most part.
That's right, yeah.
I remember during that time there were movies that were coming out because we were getting the programming on many different levels, and this ties to the what do they call this? The criminal industrial complex, if you will. In order to criminalize African American males, get them into the criminal justice system, and then you can fill the jails, and that's big business. See, this is not by accident. This is all by design. You want to deal with African American males. Let's criminalize them. Let's give them the programming they need to begin to kill themselves, and they'll commit more heinous crimes. Let's destabilize the family unit, so therefore there won't be positive relationships. You won't have men present to take care of and raise these boys into men, and therefore they will be subject to the programming. You see, this was all by design. This was a lot more complex than most people have, especially folk from on the outside looking in. But during that time when hip hop went gangster. And the truth of the matter is that if you even go back to the earlier stage, going back to KRS-One, he was gangster too. Yeah. Y'all go listen to Criminal. Y'all listen to Criminal Minded. Yeah. It's just that for a reason. Y'all better be clear. But see, you got to go back as a man with intelligence, not as a boy, as a fan.
Yeah, and go true.
You see what I'm saying? You look at the lyrical content and you realize that so the gangsterism was always there. But when it really became like the preeminent push, you found that in Hollywood, movies were beginning to be produced that fit that mold. In particular, gangster movies like Boys in the Hood, Men of Society. Yeah. Do you remember this? Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you something, because for the young African-American male, especially the ones of us, we didn't have fathers in the home, hip-hop and those movies and those particular gangster archetypes began to become what we perceive to be the only possibility. See, we didn't have honorable men around, so we didn't know what that was. We didn't have good fathers around, so we didn't know what that was. So in the absence of that, we as young African-American males, we began to look and seek, and the entertainment industry understands this aspect of psychology. And so therefore, what did it do? We began to shape these archetypes for us. And the gangster archetype was one of the preeminent ones of that in terms of when I was growing up, getting into the late 80s, early 90s. And I'm going to tell you, my friend and I, we went to go see Boys in the Hood. And we watched the film, and it had such a profound, because I didn't grow up gangster. Let me make that clear. But I had relatives who were straight gangsters. So I was around them, and I understood the culture, etc. Yeah. And then growing up in school and the drive-by shootings and all this kind of stuff, this all came from the programming. This wasn't something that some child came out the womb and said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to participate in this. I'm going to be a gangster when I grow up. No, that's not the case. It came in the form of programming. So we went, my friend and I, we went to go see this film, and we sat in the theater, and the degree of psychological damage that it had on us was so profound. When we came out of the movie theater, someone said, and they shouted out, "He's got a gun." Now, mind you, no one had a gun, but because we had just experienced this film, we had was already received the programming. We were already in a state of being wherein this gang culture was fresh in our minds, and the potential of young black male death was there in our minds. See, this is what the programming was. That inevitably you were going to be killed as an African-American male. You may even have the desire to go off to college, but like in the film, you are going to die before you go. You see, this is the programming.
Yeah.
And do you know that we began to run, and everyone began to run, and everyone was running all over the place, and I remember hearing my friend somewhere in the crowd yelling out my name. And you can tell he was crying while he was doing it. "Lenon, where are you? Where are you, Lenon?" There was no gun. There was no gunshots. But there was the programming that we had received prior to coming out of the movie theater that had caused him to conceptualize in his mind that it was an inevitability that he was going to die and that I was going to die. And now all someone had to do was say that there was a gun, and now he believes that he is going to die and that I was already dead. That's how deep this is, ladies and gentlemen. It's not by accident, and you can go all the way back to the early 70s or mid 70s, and you look at hip hop critically, and you realize that the same programming and sub-programmings were there. It's just that at a certain point, the entertainment industry realized, you know what, we brought these folk along. We gave them the Disney princess in the beginning. Now let's give them the horror archetype. We gave them, you know, a hip hop that was more boyish in the beginning. Now let's give them the gangsterism so they begin to kill each other. Well, that's precisely what happened. I'm not saying that it was just hip hop. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, however, that many young males perceived it to be their God. Therefore, it had a fundamental impact on the psychology of young African-American males.
Spot on.
So, a question I want to ask, do you feel that the reason why they do this in the media with hip-hop in terms, is it because they basically want to kill off African-Americans?
Well, it's not just African-American folk. It's really about the destabilization of the family institution. That's really what it comes down to. And you'll be surprised, even individuals who are into hip-hop, if you ask them about family, they will not want to talk with you.
Okay.
They don't even want to go there. If you ask them about male-female relationships, they don't want to go. I'm talking about positive male-female relationships. They don't even want to go there because their whole conceptual reality. So I want people to understand it's not just about, you know, getting, because see, that whole gangsterism, that's a time now past, because that's not what's being taking place now in terms of hip-hop, what people call hip-hop nowadays. It's corporatization of hip-hop. What's really taking place now is the feminization of young males, and then this whole bling culture. That's a whole nother dynamic. We got to be all fancy and look all pretty. That's a whole nother dynamic. But when I was growing up, the impact was mainly about destruction, death of young African-American males. But ultimately, the protocol was to initialize a level of destabilization as it relates to male-female relationships. So therefore, people weren't establishing, and it's not that we were establishing, or we had a long history of establishing positive relationships. But what I'm saying is that if you give a model for male-female relationships that's totally dysfunctional, you globalize it, more people are going to buy into it. So what I'm saying here is that on a global level, the idea was to devalue young African-American males, criminalize them, so that people on the outside look at us as we're all criminals, like we don't have intelligence, and we can't be honorable men, we can't raise families, and we can't be dedicated to our wives, etc. But then also to destabilize people's sense of the power of the family institution. And this has been done through hip-hop as well. That's why you rarely find hip-hop speaking about the family institution. So if you present this to the world as a program, what you'll find is the stabilization of the family unit. All of the degrees of manipulation that are taking place, they function on the premise that a parent is not responsible for their child, that the parent hands their child over to the state or to the institution or to the media itself and allows the state or the institution or the media to raise the child. So you see, in terms of as a protocol, it becomes absolutely necessary that the destabilization of the family unit is vital in terms of the agenda. That's what the agenda is. So it doesn't matter whether you want to look into transhumanism, you want to look at chemtrails, you want to look at, I mean, if you want to get into reptilian shapeshifters if you want to. The fundamental principle, in order for any of that to have an impact on human consciousness, the child must be handed over. The parent must relinquish their power to raise the child and bring the child into a level of conscious awareness. And once that takes place, any program can take effect. So that's why the destabilization of the family unit is key, and that's precisely why. See, after I basically ended that series, I said I'm not going to continue with this. I got all these black folk, going crazy, going buck wild. Y'all would be surprised. And I'm one of the most peaceful, honest, and sincere people that you will ever meet. One of the most loving people that you ever meet. I know why I'm here on the planet. And I'm fulfilling my spiritual obligations here, but that doesn't even matter. As soon as you deal with this thing called hip hop that is black folks Jesus, black folk go buck wild. And I'm saying that because I'm clear. At a certain point in my mind, I said, there's no way that I'm going to be able to continue this series, even though I recognized that it was beneficial. I said, there's no way. But what I did was I used that as an opportunity. I said, okay, then what is my alternative? I must focus on helping African-American folk around the world to begin to build positive male-female relationships. You can't just deal with the symptoms, because hip-hop, what it has become, it's just a symptomatic of another agenda. What we have to deal with is, what is the true issue? And the true issue is whether or not males, young boys, can come into manhood. Young girls can come into womanhood, meet each other, and then build strong family units. And you'll find that my work over the last year and a half has mainly focused in on that particular issue.
Okay.
Wow. Brilliant.
Yeah. No, because it's great because, you're discussing, the root causes of why everything's happening, but one of the main things we do really need to acknowledge and discuss is the root cause. Not the root causes. Well, the root causes, but the solutions.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's what we all need to be looking into, really.
Yes, yes. And I propose in my work that the solution is positive male-female relationships.
Yeah.
My wife and I do a live video stream every single Sunday, 6 p.m. on 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Lenon.com called Positive Relationships. Yeah. On Saturday, we have a show called Metamorphosis, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, transforming your vision of male-female relationships. See, ultimately, when we talk about a solution, it comes down to, because see, if you think about it, and either one of you, if you think about it, if your parents knew what you know now, where would you be today?
In a much better place, no doubt.
Definitely. And then what experiences would you not have had to experience? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See, so it comes down to that. It comes down to knowledge being passed on to the next generations. Because see, I can only imagine if y'all see my children. If my oldest son, he's 8. If you sat and talked with him and you just listened to him for a while, you just be like, what? What is this? Sometimes he says things. I remember one time he said, Dad, Daddy, you know that the first people that were ever created on planet Earth, they came from electricity, and they came down on a lightning bolt.
Wow.
Okay.
And I said, damn. I said, what? I said, oh, really? And then I started asking him more questions. I said, really? Well, how did this take place? See, his mind, he hasn't received the degrees of program. I was raised by the public education system. I listened to the hip hop, even though I didn't really like it. I listened to it anyway. I could not listen to it. Everyone was blasting it with their big banging speakers in the neighborhood and all the time. I couldn't get away from it. It's like, hey, can I listen to something else? I saw the Disney films, and I saw the Transformers cartoons and the G.I. Joe, and I can go on and on. And I can only imagine if I had his level of intellect and his level of spiritual understanding at the age of 8, what would I be today? Oh, my goodness. And see, my father, he was not a good man. He's still not. And he was not a good father. And he's still not. And that's okay. I accept him. I love him anyway. Right? I've gone through a whole process of healing that has taken place. See, if anything, what if hip-hop was used in order to create some levels of healing for young males where they can come to grips with the fact that their father was not present in the home, and give them the inspiration and the knowledge that they needed to be inspired to become something greater. See, we didn't get that. We got gangsterism and bitches and hoes and niggas ain't nothing, niggas ain't shit. This is the kind of stuff that we got. Y'all understand this. We embrace this as our God, you see. But can you imagine if instead of that, if instead of my father being brutalizing my mother, and a lot of his programming coming to the precursor of hip hop, which was black exploitation films and pimpism, that was his whole program. And what if he did not succumb to the alcoholism and the drugs and getting on crack? And what if he was an honorable man and he was clear that, okay, I'm going to make sure that you are not exposed to the next degree of programming, my son. So when hip hop comes on the scene, I'm going to protect you from that. You know, what if my sisters were, you know, look, daughter, I'm going to protect you from the pedophiles out there. I'm going to protect you from the Nicki Minaj's and the, you know, the Rihanna's and the Beyonce's and the Britney Spears. What if he was there? What kind of world would we have experienced? You see what I'm saying here? So ultimately, it comes down to what are we going to do for the next generation? And if we're going to be clear about that, I can only imagine where I would be as a man, as a father, as a husband today if I had that. So I can whine and complain about what the entertainment industry is doing. I can complain about Disney and I can complain about hip hop all day, but that's not going to change anything.
That's right.
The change comes from us realizing that we must transmit information cross-generationally and empower the next generation with the information that they need to not only empower themselves, but then to also protect the next generation. Because what will happen, and I see it already in my children, each successive generation will elevate themselves. They will ascend, if you will, their consciousness, and they will have a closer connection to their soul self because they haven't been given these different degrees of programming and mind control programming. They will be more pure in their orientation. They'll be more pure in their perception of reality. They will be more pure in terms of the choices that they make. And therefore, they will be able to create a better world here on planet Earth. You see what I'm saying here? That's what it comes down to. That's the ultimate solution. And that's why my wife and I were so big on male-female relationships, creating family institutions that are strong and they're vibrant, passing on information to the next generation. And what you'll find is that individuals who are resistant to that, you'll find that the degree of their programming is the most profound. And you'll also find that many individuals who succumb to the programming of hip-hop, especially the devolved forms of hip-hop, where as soon as you speak the words of family institution and the importance of men respecting women and the importance of men protecting women and protecting them, they will completely shut down. They can't even go there with you. This is the degree of the manipulation.
So how are we going to teach the kids? I mean, 'cause we try here to reach out to the kids out on the streets. We go out with our cameras, or we just go out there and we just stop kids randomly and we start talking to them. But they are so consumed into, I mean, even adults, they're so consumed into pop culture and modern culture and glamour that they find it difficult to let go of it. It's that emotional attachment to it, again, as we mentioned earlier.
Yes. And what I would say is, I mean, you're doing the right thing. The idea is just to plant the seed and then set the example. That's really what it comes down to. And many people, they set the seeds, but then they don't live the example.
That's right.
We can find this in the entertainment industry. They're always talking about, we need to do this. We got to uplift our people and all this stuff. But then they're in dysfunctional relationships. Or produce an album where they're killing people all of a sudden, or they produce an album where they're calling women bitches and hoes. You see what I'm saying? So we must plant the seed. The planting of the seed is merely to disseminate the information, and you do it in a way that is loving and caring. Not to try to demean anyone else or try to make someone feel as if they're less than. That's a huge thing, because a lot of us we do that. I know I did that for a while when I first started getting into the information that I felt was empowering. I would go out and try to convert everyone I could find. Well, that's fandom. You see, that's not intellectualism. That's coming from a place of a fan of the information. But at a certain point, I realized I had to stop doing that. But what I do now is I seek to plant the seed. So anyone who comes to listen, I plant the seed. Anyone who happens to strike up a conversation, I'll wait for the right moment and I'll just plant one little seed. And what happens is, if you're a living example and that person may see you later, they may see you with your wife. For instance, when people see my wife and I see our children, they know that I'm a living example of what I speak about. We talk about manhood, masculinity, and really being present and caring and loving, etc. inside your family institution. I live this every single day. It's very important that we have that in order. So you plant the seed, and then see what happens sometimes is you plant the seed and you can walk away and you don't have to see that person for the rest of your life, but it may be something that you share, something that you said, or just the fact that you express concern for them, that you shared that with them from a place of love. People feel that even if they're resistant. It may be a month down the line, it may be a year, maybe 5 years, in some cases 10 years down the line. That energy will come back. And they say, you know what? They may come up to some other information and they say, wait a minute, that reminds me of what this brother told me back then. And I remember the energy when he said it, it was coming from a place of love. Wait a minute, let me think about wait, now I understand what he was saying. See, unfortunately, sometimes it takes some tragic event for us to really, get the experience needed to where we realize what's really taking place. See, sometimes it takes, one of our dear brothers in high school or junior high school being gunned down to where we begin to realize how deep the programming goes. Even at the age of 15, I said, wait a minute, there's something going on. But then later on, when I began to come into a level of intellectualism, when I can begin to look at the world and see what's really taking place, especially in the entertainment industry, Now I draw the correlation. Now I can see what was taking place then and all of the programming that we see. So it's not that we can automatically in that moment transform anyone. And the objective is not to transform anyone. It's simply to provide the information, plant the seed, and then allow that seed to germinate. And they are the controllers of that process. They are the individuals that initialize that growth, and they are the individuals that progress throughout time. But as long as we plant the seed and then we live the example, that will be what will get us on course. And I always, I have this saying that the objective, because really when we talk about these levels of manipulation, these are the levels of manipulation that are on base level. There was a term that I've coined called cosmic respectability. So when I talk about, Disney, the entertainment industry, these are important issues, but when it comes to cosmic respectability and ascending this species back into the realm of cosmic respectability, that means when the human species collectively is perceived by the cosmos as being something that needs to be respected again, it's going to take millennia. In that context, what I'm talking about here, the different degrees of manipulation, et cetera, these are base level issues. However, I recognize that we have to start somewhere. And fundamental to this is understanding that it's going to take a lot of time and we can't push it. We can't make it happen any faster than it's going to take. Yeah. And see, sometimes what happens is we start to plant the seeds and we get so frustrated because there's so much resistance, and then we just be, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. Sometimes we get a little bit more forceful. Sometimes we recoil. We say, I don't even want to deal with people anymore. Yeah. But we got to put it in context. It is a process that's going to take eons. It's a process that's going to take countless generations to get the species back on track to cosmic respectability. Yeah. But we have to start somewhere. Yeah. And what I find is that if I can simply plant the seed and then live the example, that is enough for now. That's and right. Then whatever takes place in the individual who received the seed over time, that is as it should be, and they will progress as they need to. And at some point, we'll all meet up at the center. And it may be, 40,000 years down the line, but we'll all meet up at the center, and then we'll reflect back and we say, well, look how far this species has come. We can look at it on an individual level. Look how far I've come as a man, how far I'm a better father. I'm trying to be better. I'm still working on myself so I can be better. But then we can look at it, in terms of a species. And what really, from my orientation these days, it's not so much from the individual bit, but I recognize that has to be addressed too, and that's why a lot of my work deals with that. But I also recognize that it is about this whole species getting on track to cosmic respectability, so that there will be a day, thousands and tens of hundreds of thousands of years down the line. It's going to take quite a while. Yeah, we'll be able to look back and we say, you remember in 2012 where the species was at?
Well, Lenon, I hope in 40,000 years' time that we won't be saying or speaking in numbers like robots.
Oh, no, that's not going to happen. I don't think. I hope not.
Not if we start doing the groundwork now.
On that note, I think I need to go to the toilet. Well, can we take a music break and come back to you, Lenon?
Yeah, we're coming.
Because we usually like taking music breaks, you see, and unfortunately, it is hip hop. But it is good hip hop. Do you know what I'm saying? It is that 5%,
I'm good with the good. I'm down with the good stuff, but the bad stuff, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you won't hear no bitches and whores in this.
No, definitely. I hope not. Oh dear! I'm going to be really careful now, haven't I?
Right, we'll be back in a moment. Yeah.
Okay then, and we're just going to take about 5-minute break so we can stretch our legs, and then we'll come back. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay then, bro.
The show.
Okay. Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. So that's Lenon Anna. Wow.
Some fantastic bit of knowledge, which
we got schooled today.
Got schooled about hip hop, my first love.
Yeah, we get schooled. No, but it's good though. This is what it's about.
It is. Do you know what I'm saying? And every day's a school day.
Yeah.
We find out something new every single day, even if it does hurt us. Okay, we're gonna take a short break and
see you.
sip my drink out of my plastic cups. Even though my roommate had me mad as fuck, nigga be acting crackish, fucking up my money, hustling backwards. Financially, I took some hard blows, but shit, I also rocked some hard shows. Niggas came to check us out by the carloads, screaming my name like I scanned 1 million barcodes already. My squad blows till we all sweaty. We struggling to pay our bills, so we really can't ball heavy. And God knows I be calling on them, cause I be writing mad checks that might as well have Spalding on them. The shoulders of my team, I be falling on them, providing support to help the pain go away, and helping me to see the light like Toate standing by me. That's all I really need to satisfy me. It's just my beat, yo. Real. Hey, yo, it's real easy to see. Don't take much to please a cat like me. That's how we doing it. People, good loving, good music in my life. It makes me happy. Now bring it back. So happy.
It's been nights I wanted to quit, broke trying to guard. It's kinda hard going far with a lot to carry. Waking up, still tired from sessions. Going to class, dozing off, waking up, never learning the lessons. But thanks to my faith and blessings, struggles pass and I go about life without half the stressing. I know who got my back, no need for raising the question. Cause when times get hard, it's to my brothers I call, taking the weight, no matter large or small. I smile every day, thanks to y'all, we gonna eat for real. Ease the mind so we can sleep for real. It took longer than we wish, but the blow, man, I knew we could find the best way to live life. It's so right, we jail tight, ain't no strip stopping our move. We one nation, all under a groove. Send a piece to that cat nigga, lay, we gonna meet real soon. I'm so happy. Good music in my life, it makes me happy. We doing this for y'all, check it. We doing this for y'all. Come on, come on. People, good loving, good music in my life, it makes me happy.
Hey, yo, we running it now, so yeah, come on, feel me? Like this, showing us how we doing it. It's going out to my man's Big Poop in it. It's like this, and this is how we ripping it. And shouts out to my man named Infinite. And it's just the way we got to begin with it. It's going out to my man for 10 in it. And it's just the way we got to keep it on. For my man Big Dope and Sean. Let's get it going, y'all.
Good music in my
Justice League to the world, baby. Yo, we keep it going on. Yo, we keep it going on.
people, good love,
Like this.
good music in my life, it makes me happy.
Hey, yo, it's like this. From the league to the world. Feel me? Come on.
Good love, good music in my life, it makes
Hey, yo.
me happy.
So fly with it. Taking y'all on the high with it. Feel it. Come on.
People, good loving, good music in my life, it makes me.
You wanna know what I'm feeling for real?
You got to make it better. For the youths, them future, no, we can't sit and go on like when I say something kind of go wrong still. We don't talk it out before. The truth will fair. To the world, again. You feel like a bad man, keep it to yourself. Don't bring it to Jamaica, keep it to yourself. We no want that a jam rock, keep it to yourself. We can't take no more slackness. You can change the laws of man, but you can't change the laws of God. So if they not enough because them glad. And if you change, I must see man, them mad. Somebody tell me what is happening. I don't want no fishing on me idle dish to see my son become a father. My greatest wish. The situation kind of very ticklish, but everybody fed up from parish to parish. Yes, and to whom it may concern. I know that the way we want the tables return. As a citizen, we got a lot of concern. The truth is, I know that we want we children them to learn. If you feel like a bad man, keep it to yourself. Don't bring it to Jamaica, keep it to yourself. We no want that a jam rock, keep it to yourself. We can't take no more slackness. Hear this, you feel multiply and replenish the earth, and that's why the woman labor in a childbirth. Me no want to see me brother dress up in a no skirt, and me sister not me make that actually for part skirt. As a nation, no matter what we put God first, if it because Satan is a blessing, not a curse. Lightning and thunder won't fi make the cloud burst. And just the water from the sugar cane can quench any thirst. To whom it may concern, I know that the way we want the tables return. As a citizen, we got a lot of concern. The truth is, I know that we want with children, them feel learn. You feel like a Batman, keep it to yourself. Don't bring it to Jamaica, keep it to yourself. We no want that a jam rock, keep it to yourself. We can't take no more slackness. You can change the laws of man, but you can't change the laws of God. So if they're not enough because them glad. And if you change, I must see mad, them mad. Somebody tell me what is happening. I don't want no fish in a me ital dish to see my son become a father. I'm a greatest wish. The situation kind of very ticklish, but everybody fed up from parish to parish. Yes, and to whom it may concern. I know that the way we want the tables return. As a citizen, we got a lot of concern. The truth is, I know that we want with children them to learn. If you feel like a Batman, keep it to yourself. Don't bring it to Jamaica, keep it to yourself. We no want that a jam rock, keep it to yourself. We can't take no more slackness. Hear this, you be multiply and replenish the earth. And that's why you're the woman labor in a childbirth. Me no want to see me brother dress up in a nose skirt. And me sister nothing make that actually for our skirt. As a nation, no matter what we put God first. If we think of Satan is a blessing, not a curse. Lightning and thunder won't fi make the cloud burst. And just the water from the sugar cane can quench any thirst. To whom it may concern. I know that the way we want the tables return. As a citizen, we got a lot of concern. The truth is, I know that we want with children them to learn. You feel like a Batman, keep it to yourself. Don't bring it to Jamaica, keep it to yourself. We don't want that a jam rock, keep it to yourself. We can't take no more slackness. You can't change the laws of man.
Yes, give thanks and praises. That was Queen Africa, keep it to yourself. Before that was Foreign Exchange, Happiness. I hope you like that, Lenon.
Yeah.
Some nice, smooth hip-hop,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
so for those
not derogatory.
Yeah, for those of you who've just tuned in, on the show tonight we've got Lenon Honor. He's done a few documentaries, such as The Borg Agenda, Transhumanism, and we're sort of like...
Did he do one called Transhumanism? No, he didn't. Muslim Blue, come on.
Okay.
Get a grip, girl.
Sorry.
It's okay, we'll let you off just this once.
Just this once, yeah.
He did a brilliant one called The Creator, the Gods, Evil, and the Manipulation of Humanity.
Yes.
And also, Who is Oro, OU, Go Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a very interesting one. Check it out. Go to LenonHonorFilms.com.
Okay.
That's Lenon Honor, LenonHonor Films. You know how to spell films, but I'll spell it anyway. FILMS.com. COM.
Yeah, so anyway, we're going to get Lenon back in on the show and continue discussing some real, deep topics.
Anybody got any questions they want to fire at Lenon?
Yeah. Positive entertainment or,
Yeah, Positive Entertainment, POSITIVENTERTAINMENT.
So basically it's positive entertainment, but in the middle drop one of the E's.
That's right.
Okay.
I wonder if you can put it into the chat box.
Yeah.
Mr. Technical Man. Put it into the chat box. Positive Entertainment. Put it into the chat box.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's the chat box?
Right. Okay. Right. Never mind.
Never mind. Yes. Let's get.
He's a technical man and doesn't know how to use the
anyway.
technical device.
Let's get back to Lenon then.
Yeah, of course, most
carry on
definitely.
chatting.
Greetings,
Lenon.
Hello there again, Lenon.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good, thank you. Yourself.
We've had a nice break.
Norman's relieved himself.
Congratulations.
Yes, before the break we was talking about hip hop, my first love. You've destroyed it. You've destroyed all my illusions, man. They're shattered.
But the thing is, and like I said before, it's just the positive hip hop, and there are, but it's just that the entertainment industry didn't promote positive hip hop. You know, even quote unquote conscious hip hop. If you really take a critical look, you realize that it wasn't necessarily positive. Mm-hmm. It was really dealing with an orientation that went back to the '60s. So, in point of fact, people were actually going backwards. It's just it was another mind control ploy. It was marketing. That's what you call it. It's a demographic based marketing in that sense. But I'm very clear. There are positive artists out there. It's just that the entertainment industry didn't promote much of that throughout the duration of hip hop coming onto the scene. And I'm very clear that if an individual can find positive hip hop, that's great. But still, even if it's positive, it should not become one's God being. It should not become their reason for waking up in the morning. It should not become their father. True. And for many young Black African American males in the United States of America, hip hop became their father. And that was problematic. And so that's why I speak about that, because I understand that it devalues actual fatherhood in that sense. You don't have to be an actual man and raise your children. Just give them some music to listen to. Let them sit in their room and let their music program them. That's a problem. And it's interesting, one other thing you said, my first love. Well, if y'all think about it, remember when we thought we had our first love?
There was more to come.
That's right. If it was your first, that means that you must have had a second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And so what happens is as we grow, we develop wisdom. And then in many cases, we go back and we look at our first love. We're like, you know what? That wasn't love.
Yeah.
I just thought it was at that time. You see.
I wonder if you'd like to break down talking about male effeminization and the way that males have been manipulated as well as women, because we talked about that at the top of the show, about the song Beat It, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, actually, I'm quite interested to hear about that, because I never thought about homosexual male masturbation when I thought of that song.
Yeah, and I did. I most definitely did not when I was a child. So yeah. I understand, Rosalind. You see, when I first heard that proposed, again, my initial reaction was this individual is ridiculous. At the time, I was like, I can't even believe David Icke would even quote him in his book. What kind of craziness? This is absolute insanity. Yeah. But after I looked into it, I realized it, and that's really where I began to delve deeper into the entertainment industry. And what you'll find is if you go into the entertainment industry and you start to look at the individuals who are really in charge. The individuals, see, it's not so much the artists, it's more so the promoters. Yeah. And in some it's the actual producers. They have more influence. And really, when it comes to the age of video, it's the video producers. Mm-hmm. Because this to say that a song can be produced and the lyrics can mean one thing with people who are looking or listening to it on the radio without any visuals. But then if you superimpose visuals to it, it can actually morph and shift and change through symbolism. It can change the whole meaning of the song. Yeah. See, and this is the interesting dynamic here. So one of the things I propose is that I don't think in my mind that Michael Jackson was clear as to what was being stated and how it was being manipulated in terms of the video. See, if you listen to the song, it's one thing. But more specifically, when you look at the video footage, that's when you realize. See, because I sang the song over and over again hundreds of times. I remember singing it and doing all the dances and all that kind of, and my Michael Jackson, I'm doing the moonwalk, But and then when I got to see the video, because of my level of awareness at that time, I was just a child. I did not put anything together, and I didn't really see anything into it. But then later on, you come into a level of intellectual process, and then you do analysis. And then when you begin to understand symbolism, and that's one of the things that I really focused in on was symbolism and how symbolism is used. You can look at the video footage and then you start to pick things out. And so one of the first things I did was I looked at the video and I said, okay, what's taking place here? You ask critical questions. If you took out the music and the lyrics and asked a critical question, what's taking place in this video, you realize that it has nothing to do with running away from gang violence. That's what the face level interpretation of Beat It is, right? Yeah. They told you never to come around here. Don't want to see your face. You better disappear. In other words, there's a potential for you to be harmed. So just beat it. Run away. Yeah. You don't have to engage that. You don't have to fight and fuss and fight someone else. You don't have to be involved with this gang violence. Just beat it, run away. That's the face value interpretation. Most people were brought up to take the face level interpretation. Most children take the face level interpretation of things. So whatever you say Santa Claus is real, they take it at face value.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Later on in life, we start to think about it. It's like, wait a minute, there's this fat guy coming down the chimney. I don't even have a chimney. You know? And I didn't get presents this year. What's that all about? Is he mad at me? What's going on? So you start to ask critical questions, and at a certain point you realize that you believed in an illusion. Your mother lied to you, your father lied to you. Well, the same thing, because you bought into the face level interpretation. We do this all the time. That's the beautiful thing about life, is really it's about unraveling these different degrees of illusions. And the more you unravel, the more you realize how profound life is and how much happiness, love, and joy. When the unraveling doesn't take place, you're subject to the program. You're subject to whatever it was that was presented to you at face value, and then it becomes part of you. So when I began to look at the video footage without the lyrics, I realized there wasn't anyone running from anywhere. Y'all look at the video footage of Michael Jackson's Beat It. No one's beating it. They're not running away. And I said, why is that? What are they doing? And what you find is that there's a whole bunch of males actually converging on a central location. And I found that to be fascinating. Why are these guys all going to the same place? They're supposed to be running from each other. They're all moving towards a central location. What's going on here? So the more and more I looked at the video footage, I started to look at the mannerisms and the behavior patterns of the males in the actual video footage. And if y'all be very clear, you just cut out the music, because the music tends to it shifts people's focus. In other words, it's what I call sensory overload. And that's one of the fascinating dynamics in terms of music videos. When they came on the scene, the programming, it's almost like HD, high definition, which is high definition programming. In other words, that if you can confuse, this is a psychological aspect, if you can confuse a person's mental faculty, you put them into a state of subconscious confusion, you access the subconscious mind, and they will accept at face value whatever you present. And they won't look any deeper than what you give them. But if you can pinpoint particular aspects, that's why if you can mute the audio and just look at the video, or listen to the audio without the video and just take a critical look at what's taking place and what's being said in the actual lyrical content, you realize that it's much more deeper. It's not about running away from anything. And then what happens is, after you take those two different angles, if you will, you take the lyrical content by itself, you take the video content by itself, and then you put them together, and then you realize what the subconscious program is. This reaches beyond the surface level interpretation. So what I found was, to make a short story long, was that the lyrical content in the video footage told a much different story than what I had heard just listening to the audio alone as a child. And what we found is that there were a group of males from one quote-unquote gang who were loading up on a car and in a truck, and they were all moving to the same location. And another group with the gang, they were doing the same thing, all meeting up at a central location. When they meet up at the central location, Michael Jackson is singing throughout. He's not at that location. He happens to be in the bed. He wakes up out of the bed, and if you look very closely, when he wakes up out of the bed, he has an erection. See, this is what I mean. If you look at the video very closely, you see all this stuff being played out. He ends up leaving his location, and he goes to the first location where the first gang was at. They're gone. He goes to the second location, and they're gone. That second gang is gone. And then he realizes, okay, they must be at a particular location. How does he know where they're going? How did he know that they're all meeting up at the same location? This ain't got nothing to do with gang violence. The males who are in this video, they're all effeminate, every single one of them. If you look at their mannerisms, how they move, it's all effeminate. This is by design, because the subconscious story is something totally different. It ain't got nothing to do, no gangster dudes from where I come from would be dressed like that and be moving their body like that. See, and I'm very clear about that. There is a way that men move. There is a way that because of our physiology, because of our muscle tone, we move quite differently than females move. When I see a female move, thank goodness, we are so blessed to be able to see that beauty. But I know one thing, I'm not going to teach my sons to function that way, because he has a function in society, has a function within the context of a male-female relationship. He must represent the masculine projection of reality and allow women to represent the feminine aspect of reality. You see, this is a cosmic order in essence. So if you look at the video footage, and then you also look at how the males are dressed, they're not dressed like gangsters. They got on leather chokers.
That's right, yeah.
Their pants are all tight. You know, they're tight-fitting pants, you see? They're all and when they come, and there's one scene when one of the males in there, he kisses this Asian woman, and if you look, they pull back her neck real quickly, very quickly, and they do that for a purpose.
Was that the scene in the bar?
Yes, they're at a bar, and see, this is what I mean. But if you look carefully, you freeze the frame, and you look at her neck. She has an Adam's apple.
Fantastic.
And there's so many elements. I show all of them inside the film. There's so many different elements that you can pick out. Well, and the question becomes for anyone who's listening, well, why is that important? What does that have to do with it? Well, it's an Adam's apple.
Period. Yeah.
They don't have Adam's apples. Men do. That's why they call them Adam, supposedly because of Adam, Adam and Eve, right? So we have that. There's a reason why we have that, too. It has an impact on how our voices sound. It gives us our masculine voice. It gives us the deep tones, etc. There's a reason for all of that. So, in other words, this male, he kisses this female who's actually a male. In other words, he's at a gay bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see, he leaves. Michael Jackson comes to that bar. Why is he coming to that bar? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that it's not about gang violence because no one in there looks gangster. None of them is carry themselves like a gangster. They're not dressed like gangsters. They're not kissing on women. They're kissing on other dudes in a gay bar. They're not coming to fight each other, per se. They're all converging. They're not running away. They're not beating it. And that's what Michael Jackson is singing. Just run away from the gang violence. No, there's not any gang violence. You guys look at the film. There's no gang violence coming on at any point. They all converge on a central location. And when they begin to converge, they all come and they're all effeminate. All, each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And then they start to dance. And then one of the leaders pulls out a little knife. See, this is what I mean. Y'all got to understand symbolism. The knife is and then he pushes the button and it comes out. This is a symbolic representation of an erect penis. Okay. Y'all go look into the ISIS papers. By Dr. Francis Krauss. He talked about this decades in advance.
That's right.
See, and you'll find the same dynamic play itself out in the entertainment industry. They'll use symbols to represent something else. If you take the face level interpretation, you think that these two males are fighting each other with these. Well, if they're fighting each other, why are they wrapping this leather strap around each other's wrists prior to fighting each other? Well, that's because it's a symbolic representation of bondage. They're bonded together. They're enacting the sexual perversion of bondage, and these knives that they bring out are symbolic representations of their erect penises. Look at the video footage. See, some of y'all are like, oh, I can't believe it. Well, just go look at the video footage. It has nothing to do with gang violence. And then these males, they start to dance with each other. They go around in circles. And at some point, they bring their bodies together. They thrust their bodies together, crotch to crotch. Now, I don't know where y'all come from. Where I come from, when there was gang violence, dudes wasn't getting together, bringing their...
That is true.
It's a serious thing.
And that's not, ladies and gentlemen, what really set it off, because I was still in denial for most of my analysis.
So basically,
but then it comes to the hook of the song, which is they always use the hook or the chorus. That's the preeminent program. So if you look at Beyonce's "Put a Ring on It," single, all you single ladies, that's the initial program. That's really dealing with transhumanism too. That's a fascinating one. But the hook is always the true program. And so if I ask someone, well, what is the program of Michael Jackson's Beat It? What is the true programming that is being issued? It is about beating it.
They mean beat it. Beating it.
It's not beating it, meaning running away from gang violence, because in the video footage, that's not, and again, Michael Jackson, when he wrote the song, if he even wrote it at all, I don't believe that he was clear about that. I don't think that that was his mentality or that's what he was proposing, although it's quite possible. I think that the video producers who have more power, see, people got to understand this. These artists, they're just puppets. They interchange them. You know, Britney Spears turns into Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera turns into Nicki Minaj. I mean, it just transforms over time, and they just carry people along. But the video producers, they knew what they were doing. So when he says beat it, that's the program. And see, in the video footage, this is what really just, to my mind, I said, why didn't I see that? And part of the reason why I didn't see it as a child was because I didn't have a level of sexuality as a child, and children do not. Sex and sexual intercourse for children, that's not a reality, and it should not be. We should not be sexualized, and we should not be exposed to sexualized content either. But if we're singing a song that's saying beat it, and we're singing it over and over again as a young male or a young woman, as a young female, then we see the video footage, and then if we're very careful on the subconscious mind, we pick up everything, so it becomes subconscious programming. What becomes the subconscious programming? Beat it, beat it, beat it. And do you know that if you look at the video footage, when they sing beat it, what are all of the men doing in unison?
The beating it.
They're mimicking masturbation by stroking their hand back and forth near their crotch area. At that point, I couldn't be in denial.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could be in denial, and I couldn't say that somehow Dr. Wilson Brian Key was a lunatic, and I couldn't say that David Icke was crazy for quoting him anymore. But you see, I had to be I really had in my own mind, I had to be clear that I'm going to look into this to see what the truth was. So in other words, if in fact when they say beat it, they're stroking their crotch area in a symbolic, collectively, what we're really talking about is group homosexual male masturbation.
Wow.
And see, that is the true subconscious programming, not the face level interpretation. I'm talking about that is what is embedded within the subconscious mind, and that was what was embedded into my subconscious mind as a child. Now y'all see how deep this is?
Yeah.
See, we walked around singing this song and doing the dances, and some of us, we even stroked our private area in that same fashion, not realizing that we were participating in a homosexual event wherein males converged on the same location, brought out their penises in the form of knives, erect penises, once they actually took the knives out. Michael Jackson comes along and comes into the middle of them, embraces both of them, starts to gyrate his hips. They all begin to dance, they dance, they dance. And then when they start to say, beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it, they begin to stroke their crotch area in mimicking the motions of masturbation. And do you know the interesting dynamic to this, ladies and gentlemen, is as a child, when I came of age in my teens, what did we used to say here in the United States of America amongst the African-American community when we used to joke about masturbating? We used to say, did you beat it last night?
Yeah.
That's not by accident. That's by design. We got the programming through these songs. And this is just one example. We can go on and on and on and on and on and on. See, this is what I mean by, in terms of this surface level interpretation is one thing. But when you really look at it and you marry the video footage to what is actually being said, you realize how deep this program is, called what I call psychosexual mind control goes. And so we had children all over the world, not just black children, but children all over the world at very early ages doing these dances, stroking themselves in this way, saying, beat it, beat it, beat it. This is psychosexual mind control programming initialized for children at a very early age. And now here we are, 25, 26, 27 years later, and the same programming is being issued in many different forms. And in many cases, parents are oblivious to it, and they allow their children to participate. And then they wonder why later on their child is sexually active or even sexually deviant, not realizing that they received the programming from media long before the parent sits back and says, how did you become that? What's that all about? You see, that's how deep this is.
But I've even seen some parents actually video their children either singing these songs explicitly, dressing up in a certain way. Yes. And there was even a video on YouTube where I think it was somewhere in Jamaica where there were a young girl, no more than say 10, 11, and a young boy, no more than about 7. They were dirty whining. Wow. And it was explicit. It was if they were having sex, and there were grown people watching. So who was filming? I don't know. That's quite disturbing.
Yeah, and we see that all over the place nowadays. And part of it is because we have been so manipulated sexually.
Yeah.
And it happens at such an early age, ladies and gentlemen, that by the time we become adults, we're just not even aware of it anymore. We don't. I mean, it's almost like it becomes a reality. We're oblivious to it. Yeah. So if we see something taking place where children are behaving as if they're having sexual intercourse, and in fact, if all they had to do was take their clothes off and they would be having sexual intercourse. Yeah. It's just that they're doing all the motions, they're doing the dances that are very provocative, and many parents, they see it, but because their parent themselves has been mind controlled on a sexual, psychosexual level, they don't even realize. They don't see it as an issue. For them, that's their reality. That is what they've been totally desensitized to this reality. But what are we really getting at? We're really getting at pedophilia, the sexualization of the child. And children they should not be sexualized. And parents nowadays, in many cases, and this is the truth, we have parents who now dress their children up in lingerie and upload it onto the YouTube or up onto the internet somewhere. When this is happening all the time, they have pole dancing for children nowadays, meaning that parents get their children, they take them to this class, and the little girl, or in some cases, the little boy, learns how to pole dance. Pole dances, that's what they do inside the clubs, for, these booty shake clubs. I don't even know what they call these things, where men go and they see these half-naked women. In some cases, they're naked women up on a pole dancing, and this is what they're teaching young children nowadays. So in essence, it comes back to parents, because we can talk about all the degrees of manipulation, but it is quite possible for us to protect our children from this manipulation. And there's things that you can do. For instance, my wife and I, we don't have broadcast television. Our youngest children, they don't even know what a television is. So there's things that we can do. At the internet, they don't get on the internet and watch whatever they want to. We're very specific. Our children, my two sons, they like airplanes. They like the things dealing with air travel, things dealing with, countries and traveling from country to country. So we make sure that that's what they're watching. They're watching videos on how to fly airplanes. They're watching videos on geography, etc. We're very careful about these things. In the midst of all of this madness, as parents, it is possible for us to raise our children in such a way to where the madness does not impact them and they will not be set on course to living devolved lives. In other words, that they can be set on course to experience the highest levels of love in their life. So it's not enough to complain and to say, oh, the entertainment industry is bad and Michael Jackson, how could you do this? I can't believe it. Even though at a certain point I was thinking that in my mind. I'm like, how could you do this? I don't believe that he was quite aware. He himself was victimized by the sexualization of children. In other words, he experienced being molested as a child. Ladies and gentlemen, understand this dynamic. So in that sense, I understand his mentality. He too was in a state of arrested development. That's why his whole behaviorism, how he behaved, how he spoke, it was as if he was a child. There's a reason why he was stagnated in a particular way. So I can't necessarily fault him for that. What I can say is that the individuals who formulated the video footage, the individuals who coordinated the dances, they knew precisely what they were doing. But as parents, we can also make a conscious choice to say our children will not be exposed to that. And what we can also do is screen whatever it is that we're going to allow our children to watch in advance. For instance, if this was 1985, and Beat It comes onto the scene, and my children were the age that they are, and I'm the age that I am right now, I would screen that music video prior to allowing my children to view it.
Yeah.
So there's things that we can do, and I'm sure that if I had seen it then, I'd been like, oh my goodness, with my mentality now, look what's going on. These males, they're not running away from anything. They're all converging on to the same place, and when they say beat it, they're stroking themselves collectively. No, I'm not going to allow my children to watch that. I'm not going to let them watch the Nicki Minaj and the Beyonce and all of this stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. It's a choice.
Yeah.
You said as well earlier that you broke down the Beyonce song, which put a ring on it.
Yes.
Could you go a bit more into that one as well, please, Lenon?
Yes. And that song went viral. I mean, that was like an internet sensation beyond internet sensations. Yeah. I mean, they had young mothers dressing their children up like Beyonce. I'm talking about young girls, like little girls may have been 4 or 5. I can't even conceptualize. I mean, oh my goodness. I have 2 young baby girls, and in my mind, it's like, my goodness. It was, I mean, I have video footage of it inside my series, The Borg in the 7 of 9, The Sexualization of Technology. Yeah. It is a travesty. It is a tragedy. And it's interesting because if you look at the video footage, there's like a beer bottle in the background, and I was just like, okay, what's going on here? But in any event, it went viral. So there was young people who were doing it, old people. There were even men who were dressing up in their leotards and doing the dance, and they had it memorized. They had it memorized. So you see all these thousands and thousands of videos on the internet of reenacting. This is programming. Yeah. No one came onto the planet and said, you know what, I'm going to do this dance like Beyonce. Yeah. See, you have to be programmed, and no one comes on this planet and said, when I come of age, I'm going to dress my child up in this leotard, have her do these gyrating moves like Beyonce, and then upload it onto the internet? No, that's what perverts, they enjoy. That's what the pedophile, they're looking for stuff like that on the internet. Yeah. You're providing content for the pedophile.
Easy, is it?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, one of the things I did was in terms of that song, because what we find is that oftentimes the reason why songs go viral, which is the same reason why hip hop went global, was because it had been used for a particular agenda. And that particular song, and I have a series called The Truth About Subliminal Messages, How to Protect Your Subconscious Mind. I'm on part 4. I think I'll have part 4 available next week. And I have it available for premium members on my website, Lenon.com. And I break down that video in part 3. And what I found was that if you really look at the lyrical content, it is really about a young lady who was in a relationship with a male, and it didn't work out. And part of the reason why she feels that it didn't work out was because he was unwilling to marry her. So she says, all you single ladies, that's the kind of like one of the hooks, and then the other hook is put a ring on it. So in other words, she's saying you should have put a ring on it. Mm-hmm. Now, at face value, okay, that makes sense. But then if you look at the video footage, you realize that the whole interaction, it's very sexualized. It's highly sexualized. And not just with what they have on, but also how they move their bodies. There's one part where she goes down and she brings her whole bottom side down towards the ground and starts, shaking back and forth like she on top of somebody. Okay, oh my goodness gracious. it's like the playing out of sexual, sex, a form of sex, but just, you have clothes on, and you realize that, the sexualization of it all. There's a reason why it's been sexualized too, by the way, and this ties to the Borg in the 79 and the sexualization of technology.
Yeah.
You see, now we're getting into transhumanism. So what I found was inside this video, which was quite fascinating, that whenever she says put a ring on it, she's talking about put a ring on her finger. And then, of course, if you put a ring on the finger, it's going to be on the left hand, it's going to be on the ring finger. And most people don't even pick this up and aren't even aware, but if you look very carefully, and I do a complete analysis of the lyrics, but to get cut to the chase, you look very carefully, on her left hand where you would put a ring finger, where her ring finger is and where you would put a ring, she has a robotic hand.
Oh, yeah.
So if someone is saying, all you single ladies put a ring on it, she's talking about put a ring on, and she even shows it. She says put a ring on it, she points to it. And if you look on that ring finger, there's a little ring there. You gotta look very carefully. She's not talking about put a ring on in other words, marry a woman or marry a man, because that's not what's being married. What's being married is this electronic or digital or robotic hand. So what is really being stated is marry technology. So this is what I mean by, see, when we get into transhumanism, it's this idea and this notion that in order for us to continue to progress as a species, we have to embrace technology. So you don't embrace male-female relationships in the organic anymore. Just get a sex doll.
Yeah, yeah.
No, this is happening.
Yeah, it's a serious thing.
Get a sex bot. I show it inside the Borg in the 79 sexualization of technology. Get a sex bot. Get a dildo.
Serious thing. It's happening now for real.
That's what it's saying. Yeah. You don't have to marry anything in the organic. You just marry technology. And isn't that precisely what a lot of people are doing? Mm-hmm. They get together in a gathering, and they're supposed to be socializing, organic socializing with other human beings, and then everyone starts pulling out their phones and they're texting people.
Yeah.
See, this is a program, and the idea is that it's taking us away from our organic nature. And we're slowly being led to embrace technology, and that's precisely what the song is all about. It's not marry me on the organic, because that's not what the ring is on. It's not on an organic hand, it's on a robotic hand. She's saying marry the robot. So in other words, for you men out there, if you want to marry someone, you can just go ahead and get a suck bot. They got these too.
You're kidding me.
And if you're a woman, all you have to do is just get married to technology. So just get a dildo. You don't need a man. You don't need an organic man anymore. And do you know that this is already here for people nowadays? They have this technology that's present. People are using this technology. Yeah. So that whole song, Single Ladies, and see, it's precisely, the Single Ladies is directed at young women. You don't have to deal with males. And that's why if you look at the video footage, there's no males in the video footage at all. There's a reason why there's no males in the video footage. None at all. It's just 3 women. And these 3 women are singing this song, and they're gyrating their hips and very sexualized, and they're saying, put a ring on it, but what they're really putting a ring on is on technology. Marry technology. Because technology is what you're going to need. You don't need a man. See, you see what I'm saying? All the degrees of manipulation on planet Earth is really issued, including pedophilia, to destabilize the family institution and the interaction between men and women in positive ways. So this is another avenue through which this disruption is going to take place, wherein women feel that all you need to do is just get some form of technology. It can be some kind of a sex bot that has a penis, or get a dildo, or whatever you can find. In a male, just get a suck bot or get one of these dolls, and that's all you need. And that'll provide you with all of the stimulation and pleasure that you need. You don't need anything else in the organic. But that's what in essence. Now, if you listen to the song by itself, audio alone, you get one thing. But if you look at the video footage and take note, and look how she interacts with that hand, and look how she points to it towards the end, because what they're doing is they're showing you what it's all about in the end, just like they show you what Beat It is all about in the end when they begin to stroke themselves. It's all there in what I call plain sight.
For real.
So that's what that song was all about. So you give all these little girls this song to listen to, you did that, dress them up, now they identify themselves with the Beyonce, you video record them, they memorize the dance, you put it up on YouTube, let the pedophile see it, and then the child is internalizing this on a subconscious level, not realizing what's the significance of it is. Now, 20 years down the line, when that young child begins to see these ads in the paper talking about if you're a woman and you want a sex bot, here's where and she's going to be more inclined to even consider. She may not go and buy one, but she will be more inclined. Why? Because she had already received the pre-programming in this song that many people thought was, some kind of like silly song about male-female relationship that wasn't working out. No, that song was about the sexualization of technology that was connected to Beyonce's hand. She was sexualized, and the idea was let the young girls, and in some cases boys, in some cases so-called men, identify with her sexualize her, they identify with the degree of her sexuality, and then marry her to technology, which is the whole thing. Put a ring on it. Now people are being indoctrinated into transhumanism. Yeah. This is an agenda.
And one sign of that is the jiggle balls which they sell at Ann Summers for women. They've reportedly gone up in sale by 200%.
Wow.
Jiggle balls. Oh my goodness! I remember they had shake weights too. You heard about those?
What are they?
Shake weights.
Do I want to know what they are? Do I want to know what they are?
Oh no! Go explain, Lenon, please.
Just like Michael Jackson when he was beating it in the video, you the same motion.
Oh no!
That's technology. No, think about it. The weights, that's technology. Use technology to build muscle mass. It's the same thing. But these shake weights, you shake them up and down. I mean, I first thought, it's just a joke. This ain't real. Wow. But then I started looking, I said, wait a minute, they're actually selling this stuff. I don't know how many people bought it or how many people took it seriously, but they were actually selling. But see, that's the sexualized, and people are drawn to that.
Yeah.
See, if you're giving sexualized programming at an early age, you're drawn to that. Later on, you begin to be attracted to those types of things. If you're giving, if you're giving music videos where women are shaking their booty and they're half naked and they're calling them bitches and hoes, you're going to gravitate towards that arena. That becomes your energy field.
Yeah. Yeah.
So later on, if you're giving the programming in terms of sexualization of technology, then you're going to look for technology that's been sexualized.
Yeah.
I mean, they got iPhones with that. They got an application. I don't know if it's an iPhone or whatever they call them, iPad, whatever. I'm 37 now, so I don't know. But they got this application where you see how well you can kiss the screen. I mean, just think about that. I'm like, are you serious? And there's people who actually get this app, and you get points, something like that. You get points for how well you kissed. And how do they even judge how you kiss the screen? I don't know. It's some kind of sensor. I don't know. This goes, and this inclusion of technology is so big because transhumanism is really tied to eugenics, and this is a whole other thing. I have a series, The Borg and the 7 of 9 Sexualization of Technology. That series is over 16 hours long, and I plan on having part 8 done by either the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But you realize that transhumanism, it plays a major role in terms of the propagandization that's taking place right now, and this goes in terms of products that people are buying, but also in terms of the entertainment industry. You see, even what do they call this thing? There's this voice modulator that a lot of people were using for a long time.
Oh, yeah, Siri.
What's that?
Siri on the iPhone.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, that's another one. I'm talking about in music videos, like rap artists. What do they call this thing?
Oh, yeah, the auto-tune.
Yeah, the auto-tune thing. That's the same thing, right? Technology is really taking place of the organic nature of the human being. Now, this is problematic because if we want to look at it on a metaphysical level, as soon as the biological entity begins to identify as being nothing more than a robot, and they can interface with robotics and etc., well, what it's really doing is disrupting its spiritual capacity, because the incursion of technology, it's almost like it's one or the other. And you can come into balance between the two. It's quite possible. But as soon as it gets to the point where people have an over-dependency on technology itself, it takes away from their organic experience. So in other words, now I'll just go ahead and have sexual intercourse with a robot instead of having a sexual intercourse with a woman, perhaps building a positive, long-standing relationship with her prior to, and perhaps actually building a family institution. So there's many different ways that we can look at it. When we talk about the incursion of technology, part of the agenda is to have us deny our organic nature, embrace technology, and in the process, our spiritual ability to transform the quality of our organic nature in the first place is devolved. Part of our spiritual responsibility here on planet Earth is to spiritualize our biological component. In other words, we transmit spiritual consciousness onto ourselves, our biological entity being the other half of ourselves. The other half is what we call the spiritual aspect of ourselves. As soon as technology, you can't infuse spirituality into technology, meaning you can't spiritualize technology. You can only spiritualize that which is organic. And so therefore it becomes problematic. As soon as people depend on technology to such a degree that now they're having sexual intercourse with technology, you cannot have a spiritual experience anymore because technology now gets in the way between the interface between the spiritual and the organic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. What a show.
I just want to finish. I just want to finish on that. I mean, you know how you talk about the technology, and I've read in articles that a man in China married a video game or something.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah. Wow.
And this sets us up nicely for if we can have you on the show again Lenon, please, to really discuss about the transhumanism.
Yeah.
I think today was a great
definitely
beginning to where we can get to on a deeper level when it comes to transhumanism and your series, the Borg Agenda, which is basically tied in with each other anyway, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I would be honored to come back, and I promise I'll be on time.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Say hello to the family for us, please. Your immediate family there, and the rest of the family, the rest of the cousins in America for us, and let's build again. It's been a fantastic session.
Lenon. I mean, my sister, she actually went and watched the Beat It video on mute after listening to you.
Did she?
Yeah, and I've also had Shaq tell me that the show's really good and he really likes the way how Lenon explained everything. We'd love to definitely have you back on the show. We've had some positive
and I'll tell you, Rosalind, anytime, y'all just let me know when, and I will be here, and I will be here on time.
We'll have Rosalind to deal with.
I apologize for that. That's the first time I've been late in 6 years. But we had a wonderful show. And Brother Haru, thank you so much for having me on your show. It has been a privilege and an honor. And I definitely look forward to talking with you all soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Blessings, my brother. Thank you.
All right. Love you.
Okay. Bye.
Wow.
Yes, big up to Lenon Honor. Check his websites out, LenonHonor.com. That's LenonHonor.com. And also LenonHonorFilms.com.
Yes.
You'll get all his documentaries on there, his radio interviews, well worth checking out.
Yes.
When you watch these films, watch them with a open mind and have that critical analysis mind with you when you're watching it, because it's some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely gonna, if you don't hear from me, Norman, because I'm really being critical and analytical. So.
You're watching 15 hours of the Borg Agenda.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic series. I've been telling people about that for years, actually. I posted a couple of times on Facebook over the years, and it's a great series.
Yeah.
Very long, but very worth the watch. So next time, hopefully, we'll bring Lenon on and we can talk about transhumanism and the Borg Agenda, and finishing off what we was talking about, the statistics on how many women are buying these products and becoming a bad girl in the bedroom without the man on their own.
Oh God. I was just thinking, do I really want to know what these are?
Well,
I mean, I suppose I'd probably keep myself in a bubble because I don't really know about these things, but then never mind, hey.
Because the butt plugs, which
in 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey, they went up 170% as well. So this can give you some sort of indication of that merge with technology, with the artificial world. Do you know what I mean? I know some of these women probably do have men as well, and the men do have women, and they have their sex bots and so forth, but still, it's giving more room for them not to have that, that pphysical connection, that physical touch, if you like.
Yeah, and to connect on that spiritual level
as well. Yeah,
no doubt.
That's what's missing in it.
Yeah. But it's been a great show tonight. Yeah.
As usual, we always have good shows, isn't it, with these fantastic people.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Lenon Honor, for coming on
our family.
Show. And thank you for all the listeners out there. Big up yourselves. Definitely. And
big up Michelle, Joseph, down in London, the family.
Yeah.
Neymar. Who else? Mary Jane, Shaq. Who else? Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee's coming on next, by the way.
Yes.
With his Conscious Reggae show. Don't miss out on that one.
Yeah.
We're gonna sign off now with our tune. Or shall we play a different tune?
Yeah,
let's play a different one. We usually play Daily Changes of Atmosphere.
That is a beautiful poem.
It's a fantastic tune.
It is a beautiful poem.
Let's finish up with Reaching Can. And thank you very much for all you listeners out there.
By the way, tune in on the Innervibe show every Wednesdays and Sundays, 7 till 9.
Yes, next Sunday we have Ra Imhotep on the show.
Next Sunday,
13 Astrology, his YouTube page. That's next Sunday.
And Wednesday's a surprise.
Wednesday is a surprise, is it?
I think so.
Well, we're just doing our thing, man.
Yeah, man, we're doing our thing.
We're doing our thing. We might be bringing someone on talking about chemtrails and how they affect us, how they affect our immune system and so forth, and what we can do to protect ourselves against chemtrails and other artificial substances in the atmosphere which are trying to penetrate our consciousness and so forth. So, yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening and big up Essence Radio.
Yeah, man, big up Mr. Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lee, for letting us have this show.
Yeah, no doubt, for real.
Yeah, so people stay tuned in. Mr. Lee's going to be playing some great conscious reggae vibes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
No doubt. Well, we're going to leave you with Reach and Can.
Yeah.
Good night. Hotep, love and truth.
Balance.
Balance, wholeness.
Hotep.
Good evening. My name is Reach. I'll be your host. This for a little bit. Yeah. Do your thing, you just do your thing. Sign a contract and lose your brain. Get your money and abuse your fame. It ain't your job, so don't move for change. And it don't matter that them kids die for the thing that's got you holding your wrist high. And this life, well, it's sorta like the crack game. You on the corner and you peddling that black pain. To the kids in Nebraska down to Iowa, you got the real love blasting out the Iowas. All about the following the song. Sell us out and watch them ride for the cars. Use provocative bars and you be right with the stars. Well, alright, that's how you want it. Where rap, get them hundreds, then that's how you running it down. That's what you're gunning for. That's what it's gonna be. Act like a wannabe. That's how you want it to sound. That's how you gotta get your money, man. Show me that you can. Flash a couple $100 grand. Show me that you can. Gotta get your grind on. Show me that you can. Time to get your shine on. Show me that you can. Gotta get your money, man. Show me that you can. Flash a couple $100 grand. Show me that you can. Gotta get your grind on. Show me that you can. Time to get your shine on. Show me that you can. Do your thing, you just do your thing. Get your weight up and then use the game. Forget them folks long as you can gain. Become a star and then the moods will change. And it don't matter what your people say. You can't be bothered with the little girls you lead astray. You're on the path to sell your sister out and lead the way. No women in the videos, yeah, that'll be the day. Either way, don't you worry about what them kids on. They got the syndrome, obsessing over skin tone. Get it while you can, my mellow until it's gone. You better get it on, I promise it won't be long. Black pride, that's job, that'll help you get a home. And then them civil advocates, stay steady, get it wrong. You gotta get them cars, man, ready with the chrome. Cash rules everything, you represent the song. Gotta get your money, man. Show me that you can. Flash a couple $100 grand. Show me that you can. Gotta get your grind on. Show me that you can. Time to get your shine on. Show me that you can. Gotta get your money, man. Show me that you can. Flash a couple $100 grand. Show me that you can. Gotta get your grind on.